Andy, thanks for being here.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure to be here, man.
So we'll start with a quick bio and let everybody know about you. So Andrew Arrabito, you were from Northern California. You joined the Navy in 2002. You're a prior Navy SEAL of 10 years with deployments operating in Iraq, Southeast Asia, and Afghanistan. After 10 years in the Navy, you got out with 100% disability due to injuries sustained in the line of duty. And you started working in the movie industry, doing stunts and military advising. You've worked on the Transformer movies with the director Michael Bay, Turtles, 13 Hours, Logan, The Last Ship, and the Avatar films. You then started bladesmithing to get tools to your brothers in the teams and other soft groups. This started your successful knife company, Half Face Blades, in San Diego, California. You provide high-end quality and custom blades, and you also started the company WarPaw Wine out of Napa Valley, the brand We Kill Bad Dudes, and a hot sauce collaboration with Joe Rogan. You also have a partnership with Canoe Club Ammo Company. You're a warrior, a patriot, an avid outdoorsman, and a hunter. Andrew, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely, brother.
So I wanted to start and just really do a life story, starting with your childhood and kind of the pivotal moments in your life and travel through your time in the military and afterwards. So you grew up in Northern California, and so your brothers and your father were in a plane crash?
Yeah, so right there up in so the northern part of Napa Valley is like St. Helena, Calistoga, the last two towns. Right up on the hill is a little town called Angwin. It's a little like Seventh-day Adventist Community and College right there. And I think my parents had moved there, I don't know, like not long before I was born. I think they were living in Fort Bragg before that. My dad was like a minister and an artist and painter and all sorts of stuff. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. Just a poor family, but real big outdoors family. We were always camping and stuff like that and traveling. And just kind of lived my life every day. After I was like home birth there, my older brothers were 13 and 11 when they died. I have an older sister, Adel, and I was the youngest of four. And they just, when you don't grow up with a TV, just in the outdoors, and like early May, my mom opens the door and kicks you out, and she calls you back in August for school, pretty much. You know how that goes. And then my older brother's just big in the outdoors and love Native American culture and, the frontier and, wilderness survival and stuff like that. So that's how I grew up with them as a child.
So were you all home birthed?
I think at least half.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think 2 or 3 out of 4.
So with your dad being a minister, were you the whole family really active in the church, or was it just his thing?
No, it's we were active. I think, you go to church, and then, he would like speak at camp meetings across the country. So we'd hop in the van and drive to Illinois or wherever. And my older brothers really loved snakes and lizards, like huge. That was like their thing, So whenever we traveled, they'd be like, get the books out, find out what snakes and lizards and turtles and salamanders are in Illinois. And that would the goal is to just catch as much weird shit as you can on these trips. And my dad was speaking at these camp meetings.
Your dad's like, what the fuck is wrong?
I was like, man, all right, well, I'm going to go speak, see if we can catch that snapping turtle over there,
So it was a pretty good relationship with the church growing up?
Yeah. That's fine. It's good. And my mom, to this day, my mom has a small nonprofit where she does like religious history documentary stuff. And she's active, and she'll go and do talks at churches around the world here and there. And she's just a super Christian, wonderful. She had her prayer list is like this big, and people with their problems just call her just to ask her to pray, because she's just that like good, connected to God type of woman.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you connected to God or pretty religious
Yeah.
right now?
I don't go to church a lot. I'll go to church with my mom. She was just here last weekend. It's it's hit or miss. Like, I have my own relationship with God for sure, and there's always ups and downs. But some churches you go and it'll be the pastor really makes it or breaks it.
Yeah.
Whereas I was going to this one, and I won't say where. I was going to this one for a while, and the pastor, this one sermon, I like to hear about like God's love and hope and forgiveness and these really good things. You know what I mean? And when it was like Veterans Day, and the guy, all he did is talk about how we shouldn't almost offend other religions, and talked about us offending, Islam and these. And I was like, you didn't even talk about like guys at war right now.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if I chewed his ass after after church or something. But I was like, I'm not coming here anymore.
Was that a
you
Southern
know?
California church?
Yeah, yeah. It was just interesting, and so it's like there's a lot of good pastors. It's just for what I need and what I look for. You know, personally, I look for a pastor that like talks about peace and that love and that forgiveness and you know these goals of growing yourself and your personal growth. You know, toward God or just being a good human and doing good to others and trying to make the right decisions in your life, whether it's personal or business or whatever, you know, because it's about caring and growing as a person and growing your friends around you.
Do you feel like there's a change in like Christianity, like westernized Christianity, for the good or the worse, like in America right now?
Well, I mean, I hope it's for the good.
Yeah.
You know, I think hopefully there's a change what's coming over the next few years where it's a lot more people are a lot more verbally capable of being like praise God or even start some type of growth. You know, being born in a religious based family, you know, I've also know people that aren't religious based at all with incredible good morals and values and amazing people. So I don't believe that you have to be a specific religion to be a good person by all means. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of people in specific religions that suck compared to these guys, or you know what I mean? It's really about the good morals and values. And obviously, I do believe religion is the one that brought that good morals and values and forgiveness to mankind. Whether somebody is a denominational or not doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
You know, we do have these things that we consider right and wrong, and whether somebody believes, somebody doesn't believe in God, people have this conscience that a lot of times is going to tell them right and wrong, or you know, social beliefs or laws and rules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things you can and can't do. So
I know it was interesting growing up back in Georgia, and I'd never met an atheist until I joined the Navy,
really,
or at least somebody who
you
said
know
they
what?
were an
I
atheist.
probably hadn't either, because I mean, there's probably more now than ever.
Yeah. But back then, like, in like small towns or something, if like you kept that to yourself because you would kind of be ostracized or like,
Yeah, small towns are like little Christian towns. What about the first time you met like somebody who's like, "Oh, I'm a Satanist," and you're like,
yeah, like, what?
like why don't you have horns, or like why don't you know what I mean? It's so odd because I met some people that say that, and you're like, you're a pretty nice person, like you're obviously not a Satanist. You know, like where do you like? Shouldn't you be crucifying a baby right now?
Yeah, it's like a spectrum of this Satanism.
Yeah, like, oh, you're the I see, you're the nice ones. Like, dude, that's so crazy. I think that people just they want to belong, you know, to a group, a society. They want to belong to something that means something to them, and people chase that, which is
fitting in. And
yeah.
so your brothers were 12 and 13?
11 and 13.
11 and 13.
Yeah.
So how'd that happen?
So my dad was doing a little documentary. He loved to do these documentaries on just odd things, and he was in Alaska, and he had found out about this guy Manilik who lived in these villages way up in I think outside of Kotzebue, I believe, and this one village of people were living like 20 or 30 years longer than the rest. And this one young dude had these dreams of how to live better and live healthier and not believe in all these different gods. And he had told the village and talked to the village, and they all changed their ways of health and everything. And he wanted to do a documentary. And the guy had since passed away, but his son, I believe, and daughter still lived up in that village. So he was up there filming the interviews and putting this video together. So it was a second trip up there. And like I said, a super outdoor family.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I got to bring my oldest sons, you know, I got to bring my kids up there so they can go, you know, just check out the wilderness and catch salmon. And it's just such a beautiful place up there. Alaska is one of my favorite places on earth. And I was like, I want to go. And, you know, they were like, shut up, you're 7. Like, yeah, we don't want to babysit you while you're up there. I was like, oh, you know.
And were they staying in the village or?
Probably. I'd have to go ask my mom that one, you know. But we had some friends up there who owned the plane. There was a pilot. There was another girl, Beth, that was on the plane. I think she was out there just doing a little bit of like medical work among the locals up there. And they spent a couple weeks up there coming home. They just were flying by Talkeetna, heading down to Anchorage. And I think the pilot was switching from IFR to VFR, and bad storm came in and he was just flying too low. And I mean, Alaska, it's like 2 or 3 crashes a year up there. It's gnarly, you know. So I've spent a lot of time flying up there, and you just got to be a very good pilot and be just extremely smart and not push your limits ever.
Yeah.
you know. So they just hit a mountainside and everybody was killed. I remember us finding out at my house, and they were missing for like 4 days or so because it was just bad weather.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I told my mom they were dead for like 3 or 4 days, and she she didn't want to believe it, you know. And I don't know if it's a sixth sense or what. And I was like, they're not coming back. And then my uncle, he was a pilot, so he was in touch with our friends up there, and they finally found the plane crash, and you know, let my mom know. So it was the beginning of that, you know.
Were they flying in like a Cessna or a bigger plane?
No, it was a small plane. It
Yeah.
was a little 6-seater.
Were they able to recover any of the bodies?
Yep. So they recovered the bodies. I went up there. This was in '90. So I went up there in 2000. Flew out there in a helicopter. Kind of hiked up the crash site. It's on this gnarly rocky hillside, and kind of picked through some stuff. They pulled the bodies off. Pulled their bags. My brothers were bringing home some knives they had bought up there for me, and the handles are burned and stuff like that. And I still have those. They're pretty cool. I need to rehandle them. That's what I need to do. So I have all those, and just got some of their personal belongings. And pictures and everything of the site. And then what's interesting is the people up there where my dad was interviewing them, they wanted to put some memorial. So they built this little metal, it looks like a cross. It looks like a little airplane, and it's red and blue. And they put it above the hillside, above the crash site, and they welded my dad and brother's names into it.
Oh, wow.
You know, so more recently, I think last year, me and Ryan Bates, one of my best friends, we were up there with another close buddy who I hunt with up there, Matt DeLuca, and we took the plane out now because I want to go get the prop.
So some of the crash parts are still out there on the mountain.
Yeah, they didn't take any crash. They don't bring anything out from that. It's all there. Now over time, there's been rock slides and stuff like that, and I'm like, and snow and rock slides. So I saw the prop. Hey, puppy, come here, come here, come here. No, lay down. Oh, come on, go lay down. You know, the crash site, it's like, I want to get that prop. And I saw it in 2000, picked it up. It's all mangled. It's 3, you know, it's badass. I want to put it on the wall and put their names on, you know. So I'd like to take my mom and my dad's best friend up there and go retrieve it. But I want to go make sure it's not buried and I actually can get it. So first time I went out there, I was up hunting. Me and Matt went out, and it was just covered in that snow, that area. And like, the Latin long for the crash site is Talkeetna Airport, so I could never find a Latin long. So I kind of just map studied, and I was like, I think it's here. Yeah. And we ended up looking for that thing on the hill, and Ryan saw it first. He's like, oh, look. So we know it's on that hillside. That was covered in snow. The next time we went by, covered in snow. So I need to go in like late July, August, and just take a helicopter, hike up, see if I can even find it. And then if I can find it, I'll leave it there, bring my mom and best friend. We'll do the same thing. We'll just make it kind of a cool little retrieval party.
So they were pretty close to the airport when they crashed.
They were on the east side of Talkeetna.
So they were coming in
a little ways. They weren't coming to Talkeetna. They're going by Talkeetna down to Anchorage. Yeah,
I got you. So you went to the crash site for the first time. How old were you?
Well, that would have been 2000. Yeah, so 17.
17. How was that going to the crash site?
I mean, I had already I just accept their death. They're not coming back. So, I mean, I wanted to go see it. I just want to see it, you know, and it's pretty wild. Yeah. I don't know. Like I just found like a piece of, you know, a belt buckle with a chunk of metal and the other side of it, chunk of metal. You know what I mean? And I was like, they brought my dad was a photographer as well. And they brought back his camera, like half burned. I have some lenses. They're all half burned and some cool stuff. And like, they're on my shelf, you know, as mementos, but I don't know, man.
Those are crazy mementos.
Life's wild. Like, I had such a good relationship with them before they died. There was no bad anything. And so I feel like I'm really blessed in that sense where, you know, let's say, you know, you're 18 and you've been fighting with your dad and mom or something for a year and then your dad dies. Like, that's way worse in my opinion. Yeah. You know what I mean? Than my family dying because I had a good relationship, you know, and I've had so many buddies die in the SEAL team since then, or guys kill themselves, and luckily I had good relationships with them, and that's a pretty important thing for people to think about when people are like mad at their relative for something that's like it's forgivable, you know, and then something happens and you really feel like an asshole, even if it's something small and you're just upset with that person, you know.
And that's the last time you talked to them.
Yeah.
Or,
And you're like, yeah, okay, something like that. You couldn't have prevented it. Suicide, you're always going to think like, okay, what should I have called that person more? Should I say I love you more? Should I reached out more? You know what I mean? With suicide, it's a lot of times you don't know. Maybe someone's going through a hard time and you're reaching out like, hey, hope you're good, here for you. But if they really do it, you're kind of just up shit creek. You're like, man, like how could I have prevented that? And you know, people want to blame themselves. People are going to do what they're going to do, you know, but
so
back to that.
You were 7 when this happened.
Yeah.
And you kind of felt like they're not coming back before you got the news. How'd your mom take it?
I mean, she was bummed. You know, I mean, she's a pretty incredible woman. She's never got remarried. She was like, that was the greatest love of my life. So she kind of had to turn and be a mom and a dad for years. You know what I mean? She's super close to God.
Yeah.
You know, just that's her rock. And so,
So-
we have, you know, we've had a lot of really close family friends and she's had a lot of close friends. So obviously that helps when you have a good network and a good support group.
Yeah.
And she's just a tough Christian cookie.
Nice. Do you feel like, how do you think that started shaping you? So you're 7. There's a lot of, like, a big developmental age.
Right.
Do you think that had an impact on Andy, or like looking back now, how do you think that shaped those teenage years?
I think looking back now, it didn't feel like it then because you don't recognize it maybe, like the shaping of it or how it affected you. Obviously, there's a lot of anger probably later on, you know, getting in your teens, like with my mom and just not getting along with her, or being like, you know, the wrong parent died and being a dick like that, you know, when we were fighting. For the most part, we got along in high school.
You think that like the arguments and like the anger started coming in your teenage years?
Yeah, more than.
Yeah.
You know, I got kicked out of a couple boarding academies. They were like Christian boarding academies. There was just, my mom should have known better, you know? So
like looking at all the other, I've seen more than you.
And they're just like, you sneaking out, meeting up with girls and stuff like that. And I guess you're not supposed to. You can't BB gun wars. Who would have known?
Yeah.
You know, but I got kicked out of a couple boarding academies my freshman year. Then I don't know what my mom was thinking. I went to another boarding academy my sophomore year and I got kicked out sooner than the first one. And I just finished school through that. And then junior year, I went to, I went back home, stayed at home, went to high school at the local high school right there, Christian high school. That was pretty solid. Senior year, same thing. I started there, and then I was just pretty unhappy.
So your entire kind of education was religious-based schools?
Mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly. I'm kind of getting off track, but I'm trying to think like during high school. So maybe some of my high school problems were like anti-authority because probably my mom had to be the authoritative figure, not just a nurturing figure in my life growing up. You know,
So she's playing both roles.
yeah, and my sister is like this super Christian, can do no wrong. You know, like the girl in the family, I'm the black sheep, right? So when I'd get in trouble, it'd be like, you know, my mom's punishing me. She's talking to me like, you can't do this, and this is why, and you know, you're grounded for a week, and I'm like, you know, whatever. And then my sister would be like, it's just a whole attitude he has, you know, and they're like, yeah, it's your attitude. 3 more days on that. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna beat your ass. You know what I mean? Oh, just the worst. You know, it always made it worse.
Two chicks just teaming up on me.
Oh man, it was bad. So I don't know if it's, you know, authority issue or whatever it was. I think, you know, nowadays in the last, you know, when it comes to relationships in the last, I don't know, as an adult, so let's say 30 to 40.
You figured out at about 30, 35.
Yeah. I can see, and then, you know, talking to therapists and stuff like that, which is always good in relationship therapy is always good for learning better communication. And, you know, my adult career was being in the SEAL teams, and it was like, that was my focus. So my relationships were, you know, I didn't focus on them. They fell away.
Yeah.
But then later on, when you get out and you're working in business and you're growing your relationships, you find out like, oh, you're a poor communicator. Where's that come from? Or you have a hard time committing, you know, to a relationship or to somebody. Where does that come from, right? So asking those questions and finding out from an intelligent person who studied the brain, like a therapist, like, you know, they're like, oh, well, those are abandonment issues. Like, oh, it's probably because when you were young and your brain is being shaped, you lost those you loved the most, right? So then it becomes down to like, when you really think about it, okay, when you love somebody now, and you're really close, but you don't want to commit fully.
Yeah.
You know, is that because you're scared of losing that
Yeah.
person and it hurts too bad?
Because that's a
Right.
huge shock for a 7-year-old.
Right. And that's like the time frame. I forgot the exact time frame where your brain just soaks it all up, and
Yeah.
the most pivotal part of your life. So I think I see it more now in the last, 10 years of relationships where I'm like, "Ah, I love you, but I don't want to commit fully."
Yeah.
That's probably from it.
Well, and you
Some,
lived,
some,
yeah.
from it.
And you lived like such a long life of just being with the boys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go do this. We're doing this. We're doing this.
Yeah. And that was my main, obviously that's like everything else is second
Yeah.
or third.
So did you have during that time frame like a father figure or some guy that you looked up to during that period?
So my older brother's best friend, Steve Hamilton, he became a youth pastor, and he's a pastor now. He has three amazing kids. Like, he was like my big brother. For a while, we went on trips, and he really took me under his wing, of course, for years. And we had a really close family friend, Scott Davis, he's a rock climber, and I used to climb with him all over the country. And we'd go to Tuolumne Meadows or Lover's Leap and climb that that's going up to 50. It's like multi-pitch, or like, different places in Yosemite and just all sorts of cool places. Just climb with him all over. And, and then when I went away, that was like, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, freshman year, I went and came home because I got kicked out. And so we'd go rock climb, and I'd go on trips with buddies, and, a couple good figures that I had for sure.
Yeah.
And I never I drank a little bit here and there, more when like I was at the school when I was 17, a little bit more, but I was never doing drugs. I was like, by then I already wanted to be a SEAL from like 7th or 8th grade. So then I was like, really focused on that by the time I hit my junior year. So it was like everywhere I went, I was running. I was do my school, work after school, run everywhere just to be a badass runner. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
And do you think some of that came from just wanting to do like the hardest thing you could think of?
Probably, it came from like, okay, looking into the different special forces. My cousin Ethan had got me a workout book when I was like 6th or 7th grade, and I had like a Navy SEAL workout book, and I was like, man, that looks cool. Like, this obstacle course is awesome, and night vision, and these guys doing cool shit in the boats and diving and jumping. I was like, man, that's badass, right? So when I was able to, and then I kind of looked into the different special forces, and I was like, well, Navy SEAL, I love the water. I was like, that's where I want to be, and I was like, man, it's tough. You're going to challenge yourself. You get to play with cool guns. You get to kill people.
Yeah.
You get to be a protector of your country and your family. You know what I mean? That just sounded all attractive to me.
Yeah, it's like the best of all of it.
Yeah.
Do you still think about your brothers and your dad a lot?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have their names tattooed on me, the crosses. I have some pictures at my work. When I build out my new shop, I'll get some better pictures. I have some old pieces of art my dad did and some prints that are on the walls and stuff like that. So there's like a constant reminder. I
Was there ever a period where you kind of just shut those memories out, didn't think about it for a while? Just because I'm thinking about
I don't know if there was a time frame. I just stayed busy, which helps. Like, thinking back then, it being fresh, that's a long time to think back to, like 8, 9, 10 years old. I think so. Immediately after, I remember like not wanting to sleep alone. I remember like my mom made me a bed by her bed, and I would hold her hand when I went to sleep at night. And that all comes from just making sure someone's there, right? One of your parents is there. Remember that. I don't remember when that stopped, and I don't know. That's a hard one. I can't remember immediately after. Of course, I'm sure that I was probably looking at my mom more for how I should feel. You know what I mean? And she probably didn't want to break down and cry in front of me all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So when she was probably going through her hard time, she was probably praying with her friends. Whatever hard time she was going through, she probably didn't want to sit there and show too much weakness in front of me, as her son either. If she wanted me to grow up being a little more non-emotional or something. So I don't know. We also we had close friends, and they were loving and awesome and good people. I think that buddies who've died in the SEAL teams now, or the time I was in, that I was really close to, had more of effect on me as an adult You know what I mean? Other than maybe like not wanting to commit all the way in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because you're young, and I don't know, I accepted that death, and I was like, that's a part of life.
Yeah. Did
You
that
know,
change?
compartmentalizing a bit.
Did that change your relationship with God in your teenage years? Like, why did this happen to him or any of that?
I mean, I think so a little bit. I also just realized there's not fucking answers.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and so this is, this goes back to a little bit of how Christians believe is they want answers for everything, and it'll drive them nuts.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in karma. I still believe to be good to people. I don't believe like, the karma's like what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
It's not true. I know people who lived incredible lives for others and died shitty ass deaths. And I didn't see any good come out of it.
Yeah.
Right? And it happens left and right. And you see shitty people live these incredible lives and just keep getting blessed. You know what I mean? So good and bad things happen to good and bad people alike. Great things happen to good and bad people alike. That's my belief. There's coincidence. There's not luck. There's everything is some level of coincidence, right? I do believe in like good energy and focusing on what's good and surrounding yourself by good people and good things, and that grows you. I think when somebody goes, well, why did this happen? Or why did this happen to me? The why is that's life, right?
Yeah.
And if you start digging deeper and really trying to like hyper focus on it, you're wasting so much time than just accepting that bad things happen.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to, obviously the good people are like, well, there's good that can come out of it. Well, sure. There's also bad that can come out of it. Like,
Yeah.
like if something bad happens and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Like, wow, I want to be a better person. Well, great. But that didn't have to happen.
Yeah.
Like you could still have had the choice to be a better person.
Yeah.
It's not good that it drove you to do that. That instant, like someone dying isn't good.
Yeah.
Sure, good or bad could come out of it. I don't know. I just
That's a good
stop
take on it.
asking like why or searching for the answer. And I think, I think there's weak-minded people out there. There's mid-minded people, and there's just like tough-minded people. You know what I mean? And it's like people who people need reasons for everything.
Right.
And I kind of came to a point where I'm like, you know what? There's no reason. There's just bad and good, and shit happens, and you move on, and you still focus on being a good person and trying to take care of others and being a blessing. And like these are things you do as a good human being, And it's like, yeah, we grow old, car accidents happen, people make bad decisions. There's bad people out there that do bad to others.
Because if not, it'll just eat you alive. You just sit with
keep
it.
searching.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe there are answers. I just can't find them.
Maybe the aliens have them one day. They'll come down and tell us.
UAPs.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a
So transitioning, so your teenage years and joining the Navy. Before that, did you get into a bunch of fights at all before you joined?
yeah, and when and after.
So you just like to fight, or what happened before you joined?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you ever lose a fight?
I'm sure at some point. We said, yeah.
Not on camera, I didn't.
No.
Can't prove that.
You gotta lose a few to win a bunch. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Just getting fist fights today here and there.
So you joined the Navy 2002. So you went right to Buds after boot camp?
Yeah. So no, I went to AO school. It was in
Okay.
Pensacola.
Oh,
so that's
yeah.
before there was the SO.
Like the divisions in boot camp.
Right. So
then you go
A school is like SO school now, which is Buds. Back in the day, you still had to pick a regular Navy rating. So I just picked it's like 8 weeks. Rigger school was 6 weeks. So did the 8-week course. Then everybody else goes to the fleet, and you go to Buds and show up at Buds. So Buds was fun, man. It's just kicking the nuts. You're with, a lot of dumb people and with some awesome people, and you find guys that are like-minded that never think about quitting, that are just tough, and you just go, and you're just like, you're just so whooped, and you just laugh. You're like, what more
The
can
more
you
they
do?
beat the shit out of you, the
It's
more you just
funny.
laugh.
Yeah, it's like you just go, and you're just like, Jesus, it's hilarious. It's like misery loves company, but you're laughing too. It's funny.
And you laugh at all the people that quit, and it builds you up.
Oh, it's
You're
so
like,
good. It's like Highlander. You're like Bell is like someone's head getting cut off.
Yeah.
You're like, oh. As long as your body doesn't quit,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I met, some of the most awesome people.
Do you have any like memories that stick out in selection, like funny memories, shit that happened?
Oh man. Yeah, this guy Van Apple doing like shit in the pool, in the bottom of the pool, in like the 15-foot section. We're doing like knot tying, and what a sweetheart. He didn't belong there, but he was down there, and he hadn't come up yet, and he had bubble guts or something, just shit all in the pool. The instructors, of course, lost their mind. You can't poop in the pool, dude. Like you're singled out to quit from then on out. So he ended up getting. He ended up quitting. So it was pretty bad on, but Van Apple shit. Yeah. That was a good one. I mean, there's so many, the instructors are hilarious, right? Like they make nicknames and they bet on certain guys to do good or bad, or like, it's pretty cool. I'd like in Hell Week, I got some nerve damage in my shoulder and eventually I couldn't lift my arm. So I'd like swing my arm up, lock it out to hold the log.
Yeah.
And like eventually it'd like fall and I'd be like swinging my arm up, and the instructors thought that was really funny. And I got up to tell a joke. We had to tell jokes and not get wet, and they were like, lift your arm. I was like, fuck it. Just turn around and go hit the surf. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, there's just, one of the guys, we were going out to swim, coming back from an ocean swim, and there was like a little dead shark like this big on the beach. One of the buds, dude, I forgot who it was, like ran by and kind of kicked to his foot, and the instructor's like, oh, hell no, that's disrespect to the ocean, like get over here, and made everybody get down and like do push-ups and hit it. He had to do a push-up, hit his head on it and say, I'm sorry, like 50 times, and then finally, all right, get up and go,
Oh man, that's funny.
They do stuff like that, or like, what's shitty is if your knife's not sharp enough, or, some instructors just have it out for certain guys. If you're ugly, if you're a really ugly student, you're going to get picked on, dude.
Like, oh, dude, you're not a stud. You're ugly already.
100%. Oh, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
If you and if they put out and they're solid, of course, they're going to make it. You're not, but they'll just, they'll just pick on every little thing. And it's great. It's great. And they'll try to be your best friend to make you quit. They'll try to get mad at you to make you a good cop, bad cop. It's hilarious.
Do you, what do you think makes, looking back now, what do you think qualities in a dude make a good candidate for selection in programs like that?
Somebody who's obviously mentally tough, who just doesn't if they want to go for something, they don't let anything get in the way. Yeah. I don't care. I'm still going to go. You know what I mean? And that's good and bad. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of my buddies used to fight a lot, and tough kids, and not always the best decisions. Mm-hmm. Not getting arrested for stabbing people, stuff like that, but a little loose. Yeah. You know what I mean? And tough and willing to, it's hard to say because there are guys that graduate who shouldn't have graduated for sure.
Just slip through the cracks.
Yeah. And guys who kind of made it through on the backs of the really tough guys. A lot of guys are very tough, extremely good athletic, and really, really, really intelligent as well. Mm-hmm. And compartmentalize. Guys who can push themselves without having to be pushed is really big, because once you're in the teams, it's not like they're forcing you to work out, but you should have this idea to do 110%, right? So you should be able to do all your own work and do 10% more, right? And be strong, if not stronger than your buddy. If you got to carry him or carry gear or whatever, those are the studs who really, really stick out in the teams. Guys who are extremely good athletic and really intelligent and independent, and they want to hone their craft. Yeah. And they want to be professionals in that field, whatever it may be. There's guys who kind of let themselves go and they're a little bit chubby, and you're everybody, you guys will say shit like, you're a fat ass, get your shit together.
Yeah. And that's what you want too.
Yeah. And you want that peer pressure and stuff too. Or guys are like, all right, well, and the head shed knows this, and they're like, oh, well, these 3 platoons are going to go to Afghanistan. And they'll be like, you're going to go in this platoon that's going to Southeast Asia. And they're like, we'll pick this guy up, put this guy here. You want your fucking guys who are good war fighters, who are the strongest guys, intelligent guys, and the best guys going to the gnarliest places. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if you're not, hopefully, if you're a solid dude, you're probably getting into those platoons to go do the cool shit. Yeah. And the hard shit. You know what I mean? Which is more dangerous as well. Right. Right. But that's what you joined to do. I wouldn't have joined, maybe I would have joined if no war had kicked off, but that's what I want. I wanted to go do that stuff. So when I had already signed paperwork and, the towers got hit, I was just like, oh,
let's fucking go.
Yeah. And one of my buddies joined a year before me. We grew up together. Derek Benson, he died in Extortion 17, but I was like, oh, he's already he's like checking into the SEAL teams right now. Damn it, dude. I better
piece
get
of
there.
shit.
I got to get there, you know? Fuck, I forgot the original question. How did it shape?
I
What
think you
was
were
it?
just riffing, yeah. Qualities that make it
Yeah.
good. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
you
Qualities.
got them.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
there's
man,
probably there's everybody that makes it to the teams, and it sounds like, and then you have the inner circle of people that are
Correct.
actually in.
right. And it's like some guys would be like, there's team guys and then there's guys in the teams. Right. And for me, I'm more like, well, there's like the true frogmen, like the true brotherhood in the teams, and they're there for the right reasons and love their buddies and put themselves second, love their friends more than themselves and want to go to war. And then there's the other guys, which no disrespect, but there is literally guys, I won't say names, that talk about like, oh, they weren't accepted into that group. And it's like, well, you're probably self-centered.
Yeah, there's probably some reasons
Probably
for it.
dodged war or something like that, but I don't know, man. It's there's the good and bad and the ugly and everything.
Yeah.
What an incredible place though.
Before we move into your time in the teams, do you think selection since like the early 2000s, do you think it's changed, or like what have you seen, good or bad?
It's definitely changed. There's times where they need guys, and I remember there's just push, like the classes jumped from like 150 to like 250, and it's like, a lot less instructors are watching those guys, really pushing guys through, or they'll change. They're like, oh, we won't change standards, but then they'll be like, in a phase, let's say you can only fail one ocean swim for them to look at the board and pass you through. What they would do is they wouldn't change the standard for the time, but they would say you only have to pass one. So guys would fail, pass one, and then they could actually put you onto the next phase if you passed one. So they're not changing the time. So there's little things like that. They would change, and a lot of that would depend on whatever's kicking off overseas, how many guys are getting out, that demand, and it really also depended a lot on the CO of Buds, whoever was coming in, and if he was coming from a command that had been to war a bunch, and had experience, it got harder.
He's setting the tone.
Yeah. Exactly. And Big Navy, because it turned into like an A school, because SO, like the rating, it turned into an A school. They got a lot more money in Big Navy money. And the Big Navy, when a lot of guys quit, were like, that's messed up. You're making guys quit more. And you're like, well, no, that's okay. We would rather have less guys that are solid. So there's a lot of pushback from the regular Navy being like, you're being too hard on guys. They're quitting more. And then they were like, well, a guy would get hurt in training. And then they were like, oh, well, we have to do this huge, massive, what's the word? Not inspection, like investigation. And then it's like, well, you guys made them do push-ups in this for 5 hours on a Friday. Their bodies were hurting. And then they had to rein it back to the point where there was a time, there was a book or something. There was a book, I believe it was called like How to Beat Buds. Oh, and it was like the time frames on a Friday, how long you could be beat. And the issue with that is if you know that in 3 hours, you're going to be relieved of getting beat and put in the ocean, stuff like that, you can hold out.
Yeah. Because it's the unknown.
Right. It's the unknown. This might go forever.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can make it anymore. And it just goes another 20 minutes or goes an hour. That's where guys quit because you're breaking them, right? That sucks. That so many guys more make it when they know that instructors have to put paperwork to beat the class longer on a Friday till 6 p.m. instead of 4. That's ass.
Did you, I read about it and listened to, I think the guy, the CO who was at Buds at the time, that student that died during training, and there's a big investigation and like a steroid scandal or something.
No,
Not
like
steroids.
The
kid was doing something.
It's all under investigation still. The kid was doing a bunch of stuff he wasn't supposed to. There's a lot of rules. You can't have your own protein supplement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't do nothing, right? They can't do anything, right? So the kids, I don't know if it's heart failure or whatever, and every student's being treated the same. There's guys that are lacking. They're getting a little more attention, right? No one's trying to fucking kill a student.
Yeah.
Like that's the worst thing in the world. No one wants that. You want to make guys better, right? And you punish guys for being worse. That's the name of the game. That's how you get good guys, right? Or guys quit, or guys stick around that are solid. Student dies, the staff gets screwed. Yeah. They try to resuscitate him. He couldn't be resuscitated. They find all this stuff. Like they find all these things, stuff in his car, or just whatever. And it's super sad what happened. The instructors get screwed. The Big Navy's like, someone needs to pay, right? So the chief get screwed. He's got good lawyers. He's fighting it because they're trying to screw him.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything. I know the family, it sucks losing your kid, of course, but I know that the family's up in arms, and it's like
they want somebody.
Right. They like want someone's head. They don't think their kid should have died. And I'm like, okay, I agree with you. Training is tough. He's not the only one that has died or had heart failure. There's other guys who've gone through training that failure. My buddy's leg broke off the femur off the ball of his hip. Like, it's tough training. Well, all these guys made it.
Yeah.
Right. Whether your body failed, it's a very tough, rigorous course for a reason, because you have to have a certain type of person in the end that's running around in the mountains in Afghanistan or sneaking up and climbing cliffs or oil platforms, you know what I mean, that demands a very rigorous level of body and mind. You know what I mean? It's so sad that happened, but the amount of just people getting screwed over and lawsuits, it's just so ridiculous at this point. And that's like, all this is, real quickly, I don't know a whole lot about it. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. And because I've just heard people talking about it on other podcasts and shows, and it seems kind of par for the course that the more media attention something gets, the more big Navy goes in to try and hunt somebody's head. Correct.
And it's so ridiculous, man. And there's other, there's been times where a student quits, right? And there's a lot of anguish when you quit. And it's like, I shouldn't have quit. Maybe I'll go back in 2 years. You've probably told all your friends and family you're going to be a Navy SEAL. And your dad's like, oh, son, you're going to make it. And it's like,
you already got the tattoo on your ribs.
Oh, dude. Yeah. You're going to beat for that one. But then it's like, and then you got to go tell your family you didn't make it. And that doesn't go well. And every kid has an excuse. Everybody's got an excuse like, they didn't realize that my legs were broken and the doctor didn't know it. And so I had to quit. And you're like, oh, well, you get checked all the time and it's a doctor. You're not. You know what I mean? Or it's like, there's just, the amount of excuses is insane, right? For guys that quit. And there was a kid that killed himself because he was just so bummed he quit. You know what I mean? Didn't want to face his family. And I think that family, again, like, they lost their mind and they were like, he shouldn't have quit. You guys should have had watch on all these guys, all these things. It's like, well, how long do you have a watch on them? I get it. Like, it's true. Like, when you quit, you're like, okay, pack your bags, you go next door and check in with that guy, and you're just cleaning rooms until you get called to the regular Navy. Like, it sucks. You shouldn't have quit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, life isn't all fair, and it's not, we're not all equal. Our bodies aren't made equal. Our minds are not made equal. Like, God loves us equally. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's where the line stops.
That's it. Like, we're born as babies and God loves you. And then we grow, we learn, we change, we make decisions. There's a reason why, that guy's a bodybuilder and I'm not. There's a reason why I can run better than that guy. Or, you know what I mean? Like, that guy has high cholesterol. I don't. Like, there's reasons for all these things. Like, it's equality thing. You treat people respectfully, but some people do more than others, just genetically. Look at pro player, like pro ball players and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I can't do that.
Was this, I mean, we're all connected now with media. Do you think this is happening in the 80s, 70s, 90s? All this outcry with people dropping out of the teams or getting media attention?
No, well, not the team stuff at all. Yeah. Well, there's nothing going on then.
Yeah.
You had Vietnam. And then you had like Noriega, you had the field, you had Panama. A couple instances where guys were getting work. The rest of the time they're going to Thailand and smoking weed, and they were wearing jorts and had tie-dye shirts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you had a few guys in the 90s, and then the war kicks off and it becomes like a very serious thing, where now it's like, get really good, like, training gets tougher. Guys are actually going to go see combat. Money pours in, weapons, technology. Back in the day, it was like, go to the gym and just lift heavy. And then it's like, hey, guys' bodies are breaking.
Yeah.
And then 2008, 9, 10, we get our own gym, super nice gym. We get strength and conditioning coaches, cold plunge, nutritionist, all these yoga, like all these cool things. Like, all right, that makes sense. You want longevity in warriors, not just go lift heavy and juice. Yeah. You know what I mean? Arms fall off. Like, just, and it's also like there's Iraq and Afghanistan, two different areas where it's a bit different how you fight. You have a lot of urban fighting and fighting out of city in Iraq, but Afghanistan, you're out in the boonies, hiking mountains and stuff like that. It's just a different little different on your body.
Speaking of that, so you graduate, you go through the pipeline. Did you go to sniper school or any kind of specialization school?
So breacher school, I went to the first part of sniper school, and then we had a break, and I ended up breaking my leg in a fight. My left leg, I like
Tell me about that.
tackled down some stairs and like broke my leg. And
Was it another guy in the teams or what happened?
no, it was some other people. It was me and my two buddies got in a big fight with some guys, and
In a staircase?
well, I was in a house,
Oh.
inside a house, and I remember fighting them, and it was like 3 of us, and there was a lot of people. Like our girlfriends were there too, and they were just like, "Oh my god!" I remember getting like tackled downstairs, land on my legs. I was in the house, like 3 stairs, boom, and then the guy stood over me like, "Do you quit?" And then I just up kicked him in the balls as hard as I could, and he hit me again. And like then I think my buddies like knocked 2 dudes out in the house and ran out the front door, and all these guys were pouring out the front door, and I like my girlfriend, I was like hobbling out, and guy turned around and saw me, and I like had to hit him because he was gonna hit me, and I stepped on my foot, my broken foot, and like turned, and I was like, oh, fell down. And my buddy was like fighting guys in the street, and they'd run, turn around and fight. And I was like, all right, I'm not going that way. So I'm hobbling up the street, and someone like turned around, they're like, look at those guys, still good, like hobbling, and the guy's like, get the weak one. I was like, come on, man, like hobbling up the street with a broken leg. They end up going down, those guys end up being all right, and like I like got on my cell phone like under a fucking Mazda Miata near a house nearby, like as small as I could, like, hey, like I'm here. So they got like
Gotta call an evac.
They got it like got like a taxi van, like picked me up, took me to the hospital. I was like, damn it, dude, like a plate and screws in my leg. So I couldn't finish sniper school.
Oh man.
And then
was it femur fracture, tib fib?
tib fib, the outside bone. I think it's tibia, like classic.
Yeah.
Leg kick fracture,
God.
That was fun. That, and then
So how was that explaining that to the command? You're in sniper school and like, yeah, guys, I got a little fracture.
yeah, I didn't tell him about the fight part. Training, bro.
Yeah.
Training accident.
So anyways.
Combat training accident.
Exactly.
Breacher school is awesome. You go to like Loadmaster, which is not fun. A lot of guys go to comm school. I didn't go to comm school. That would have been good. It's not a fun course, but then from there you go to JTAC, which is it's very obviously important. I don't know, maybe driving school is up the ass, because the first deployment we did, I was a lead driver for the vice president of Iraq for a little while. So it was like Bondurant, ITI, T's, all these badass driving schools, which were pretty cool to go to.
Do you know a guy named Rob Garnett?
Yeah, he was one of my instructors in Buds.
Really?
Yeah.
So I had him
love
on
him.
a couple episodes back.
Yes, he's at One More Wave right now, right?
Yeah, One More Wave.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
So he was
His
one of
son
your
works for me
instructors.
at Half Face.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, not now, but for 2 summers, his kid came and worked for me.
You're like, payback.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. Rob was one of my instructors. Yeah. And so
How was it having Rob as an instructor?
great. Just lean. He could run super good. There's a little guy, Jose Hoban.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little Filipino dude, could just run like the wind. And you're like young and you can run.
Yeah.
And then you meet a guy who's like 30 and he's more built and he can run. Come on. He's like runs way faster. And you're like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah, what is this?
I'm like 20. I'm in my prime. The hell?
So, because he was talking about he did PSD also.
Yeah.
For-
So same time frame.
Same time frame.
So he was probably at team 7 then, because he had done his instructor duty. I went to team 5. I had a really rowdy platoon that got disbanded.
How to get disbanded?
Like kicking doors in and fights, and then
This was downrange or here at home?
in training. And then come here, go lay down over here. And then like we were training on some oil platforms, and we came back, and one of the guys we were like drinking, and came back to the hotel on base, and his door key wouldn't work, and he's like, oh damn it. And so he just turned around, like breacher kicked it in the door, and it came off the hinges, and then went in, there was like 2 other people in the bed, and they're freaked out, and he was like, is this 109? Like, no, it's 209. You know what I mean? And like
Good technique.
yeah, and then like at ITI, like I had a lot of big dudes. Everybody, I was probably the smallest guy. I was like 170, and everybody else besides like AJ James, Big Head and Dirty were all like new guys. Everybody was like 225 to 250. It was like Kevin Kent, awesome dude. He's hilarious. He was like LPO. You like Cake and Dog. They both played football for Hawaii State.
It's
like
big dudes.
Tage, like big dudes, man, and they're just rough. And these are the guys you wanted to go to war with. Like
Right.
we were just looking forward to go to war with these guys because everyone dies. You know what I mean? When those guys are around, and we got disbanded, so we ended up deploying late, deploying with Team 7. I think Rob was probably at Team 7 during that time frame, maybe one, but yeah.
Because that's what he talked about. He was doing PSD, I think, for the president. And he's like, that dude is just a piece of shit.
Oh, they were. The vice president was like, you know, our linguist would go to the front gate because you lived on the main base there. You had BIOP, the airport, you had Route Irish, you had the base. They had like where the Italians were and where the FBI and where the agency, and like I was like the main big base where the where Saddam lived, and then Uday and Kute, and then the vice president had like this house on the Euphrates right there, and we had our own little house, and then the intern would have to go out and like get prostitutes for him and stuff like that. And you're like, what is this? Like, I thought we were driving around this. Yeah, it was something. It was wild, man. But we did that, you know, we did that for a few months, and then it was like we did a few ops during that time frame. And then
So is PSD
somebody
the
else
first
took
thing
over.
you did when you got out there? Okay.
Yeah, and then we did some ops while doing that when we had some time in between, just outside of looking, you know, like crappy cops taking money and some other stuff, and then you know, medium value targets and everything. Then went over to BIOP, and then did ops out of there, and then went up to I went to Talifar, and I think some guys were in Mosul. I think half of us Mosul, and a few of us went up to Talifar, and it was a bunch of snipers and me and Big Head and stuff, and we just did Overwatch for the army that was pushing through. That was a lot of fun.
Did you get any kills out there?
Shot up some cars.
Yeah.
There's probably people in them.
Yeah, no confirmed. We didn't.
Yeah, that was a cool place, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that first deployment, you're doing PSD, and then you're just bouncing around Iraq?
Yeah, mainly up there in Mosul and Talifar. Yeah. That was like, I think we maybe went one other place. We drove all the way up there, which is like, I was the lead driver again. I was because I'd been doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I'm a like nav guy, and just driving. You're like, oh man, this sucks.
You're just
you don't know if it
puckered the entire time.
Yeah, like being the nav guy, you have to like plan the routes and stuff like that. But then you get to sit and watch and like look and watch the route, make sure everything's good. Driver, you're just like, well, something, you know, night vision the whole time. Everything's dark. You're hoping, and you run into like these roadblocks where it's Iraqis or it could be bad dudes, and they could have set up IEDs, and you're like,
do we
just kill them and go? Like, or, you know, you might run over an ID, or, you know, there'll be a fucking bomb hole in the ground, and since you're like looking this way, you don't see that.
And was this like the 05 time?
That was 2005.
Yeah. So were you guys in MRAPs yet, or were you guys just like...
No, we just up armored Humvees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no MRAPs. I didn't drive an MRAP till I was in Afghanistan. We barely used them. A lot of guys used them in other areas, but we were up north in the mountains.
So was that first deployment what you expected it to be, or did you see what you wanted to see out there?
I wanted to see more.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was by all means, it was good. You know what I mean? It was fun, but I wish we didn't have to do that PSD, you know, the first couple months. But it's, you know, that's something good to learn too. Like they up armored like all these really nice BMWs, these really nice SUVs. They had all these Mercedes all up armored, and they didn't upgrade the suspension. So they put all like 3,000 pounds more and do nothing to suspension. So when like you're like practicing pulling J turns, you're like, and you just feel those rims like barely catching where the tires just folded under. You're like, oh, you know, with this 7,000 pound BMW, like,
oh man.
But it's fun. You're like practicing at the big flat area at the cross swords there. And,
oh yeah.
It's such an experience. You know, 21 years old and getting to go to war. It's pretty cool.
So before that, did you went to a driving school before you went on that deployment?
Yeah, a bunch of them. So you're like Bondurant.
So was there
Keys,
like a tier one
off road? That was like 2 weeks or week after I got into the SEAL teams. That one where we had the rollover. Yeah, that was fun.
What happened there?
Doing this second week of training, it's all off road, night vision, like high angle stuff, and the vehicle in front of me flipped, and it was like Senior Chief Fitzhenry was like 17 year SEAL. He was with us on the trip. I don't think he'd gone there, so he like threw him on the command he wanted to go. So I was driving the vehicle behind that one. I think Kellerman was driving, and Alex Lee, another guy from my class, was in the turret, and it was just like bushes on the right side, super, you know, super side hill, and there was like a rock in the bushes, and he was just a little upside, so that tire went up that and just rolled down like 7 times. And Alex only broke his collarbone. Yeah, Kellerman was all right, and then Fitz got thrown out, and I guess the Humvee probably rolled over him. However it happened, so we were like, you know, night vision up, lights on, headlamps, like found in Fitz, like it cut his head from like here, like his night vision like into here, so that was all ripped open and it's pretty smashed, and he was unconscious at that point. So just started CPR on him and like hold his face together, CPR side hill, and then the air was going into his esophagus, so his stomach and lungs. You know what I mean? So like he would like stuff would come up, and I was like get it in my mouth, so I was like spit it out, puke, and then Jeff Nichols, awesome dude, he started helping me too, and we like wipe his mouth, and that was pretty early on with that outdoor. So like we didn't have a specific corpsman with us, or like a big corpsman bag. Not that it would have saved his life, you know what I mean? So we'd end up, you know, of course, calling the helicopter in, and we probably did CPR for like 50 minutes or so, and it's like his ribs are poking out his side, and we never got him back. We ended up giving like tension pneumothorax to release air, and then tension pneumothorax to release blood, and he never came back. But I mean, we did our best. And then the command is, the SEAL teams are hilarious, right? And they're just so gnarly. We do like the memorial at the command. They set everything up, all the chairs up, and they sit me next to his daughter. You know what I mean? Like a few weeks later, and she doesn't know, you know, but I'm sitting there, and that's my seat. And they're like, here's your seat. Then I find out that's his daughter. I'm like, thanks, guys.
Oh,
like,
man.
hey, step into the big boy game. Like, you know, and that's so shitty, but that's like you kind of, to kick in the butt, like, hey, this is real. You know what I mean? Like simple mistakes cost lives.
And you're about 20 at this time.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah.
What's even more fucked up too is they'll be like, there's like the one MC on the command that you can go over, like, hey, calling, whatever. And there's other new guys that weren't with us. They're somewhere else. So when those guys got back, they'd be like, hey, you know, come to the office, call Senior Chief Fitzhenry. So they tell me he has a phone call. So they'd have guys come and be like over the loudspeaker of the SEAL team, like, Senior Chief Fitzhenry, you have a phone call. Little did they know that he just died. And so that guy walks around and just gets whooped by all the old guys. You imagine?
That's funny shit.
So it's so gnarly.
Why is everybody fucking hitting me?
All right, buddy. Yeah.
So I mean, so you just checked in. Did you ride the helicopter out with him?
No, little small bird. We drove back out, you know.
So I mean, what did that teach you about? Like, obviously now it's like, oh shit, like people are gonna die. What else did you take away from that? From that event? Just it's real.
Yeah. Like, it's just like, hey, it's it's real. It's not like it's not, you know, some people it's like, oh, it's like a military frat. Like, no, it's not. It's way gnarlier.
How did the teams come together when they lose somebody like that?
Very good. You know, they take care of the families. They'll send guys to be with the families. I don't know if he needs to pee. He might need to pee.
You want to take a break?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Quick break.
Yeah. And we're back.
There was some other older guys there on their trip too. That like they were, like, I'm pretty close to today. One of them just retired. He was Master Chief as well, and so being a new guy and going through that, and those guys watched how some of us performed under pressure and like did our best, and like we were pretty solid that early on. I always had some good mentors and guys who had my back that were you know, 3rd and 4th platoon guys that was just like, that dude's solid.
Yeah, you showed your colors out there.
Right.
Did you have any basic medical training or anything at that point?
I went to EMT school, high school. Okay. My senior year, I figured I went and got my dive license and went to EMT school. Just figured it'd be good to know.
Yeah. Was that the first time you had to do anything medical wise, like treating trauma or anything?
Well, I mean, outside of like giving some stitches and super gluing myself up and buddies. Yeah. Well, I mean, the guy didn't live, so I don't know if I was that good at CPR.
Yeah, we're 0-1 on that one.
Yeah, don't let a Humvee roll over you. I'm not good at saving you. That's a tough one.
Yeah. It's hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
So,
although Alex was in the turret, ducked down, it rolled like
Yeah, how
They
the
rolled 5 to 7 times, and he like broke his collarbone, just got tossed around in
he's
it.
just like
And there's
holding
no
on.
doors. There's no doors on it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
man.
So
Yeah, that's
he
crazy.
got real lucky.
The guy in the turret is the
Yeah.
one that made it through.
Broke a collarbone. I mean, the driver, he was okay. When he was strapped in, which I'm sure he got whipped around.
Yeah. Do you think he just wasn't buckled in? Who knows?
Who knows? The problem with that is like, what the good part about the teams is they'll make sure that says he was buckled in.
Yeah.
Because what life insurance really loves to do is try to find these little things to not pay some dude out the 400 grand they owe him if he dies in the military.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. They make these rules like if you're riding your motorcycle, you need to have an orange vest on at all times. And let's say someone gets killed riding their motorcycle and don't have the orange vest, Prudential or whatever life insurance is through the military, they'll be like, yeah, we're not going to pay the family.
Yeah.
Dude's 17 years in the SEAL teams because he wasn't wearing his orange belt.
Yeah.
You know what I
Like,
mean?
fuck you.
Dude, come on. Yeah.
So backtrack. So that happened. You went on that first deployment. Did you see any meaningful combat during that first deployment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. Especially like doing Overwatch was really awesome. Especially watching the older guys work, and was able to get on their sniper weapons, which was really fun. The driving portion it's great now too. You know what I mean? To use.
Like out in traffic here in San Diego.
Yeah. It was a good deployment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We did quite a few raids, looking for bad dudes, bad police. I remember doing a raid. It was like a 3-story building. Me and my buddy Dirty, Dan Corbett, actually, he just came out with a book. It's called American Mercenary.
Nice.
We were like, there was all these awesome stories from the first platoon of guys who had been to combat, those guys when we got disbanded from. They had all these awesome stories of when the war broke out and they were just going to combat and they were like rugs over their shoulders, like just cool shit. You know what I mean? And you're just like stoked. You can't wait to go to war and
take all this cool shit.
And we're looking for this, HVT or something. And on the middle level was like our new guy officer, our O3, Dana and another guy, and LPO or chief were there. And we're doing SSE, like, finding, cameras and anything of importance, right? So me and Dirty are upstairs and we're like looking through the room, and Dirty looks up and he's like, oh man, look at that rug. I was like, wow, that's a huge rug. He's like, I think we can get it. I was like, all right, man. Like, I don't know how you convinced me. He's not one of my, best friends. And they're like, all right, let's get it. So we pull it down. There's both of us like on each end of this rug, and it's a big rug. It's like a 20-foot long rug, maybe not that big, probably 15-foot rug, heavy. We come down these shitty ass stairs to the second level, and we look over and we had like, there's some FBI guy there, like, getting information. Like, it's kind of a big deal target,
Yeah.
And Dana looks over and he's like, what the fuck are you doing?
And the target's still in the room too as you guys are walking by.
No, I don't know. He's buckled up somewhere with a bag over his head. You know what I mean? But it's like FBI. It's one of their targets. They gave us information of, whatever it is. And Dirty's like, nothing. And he's like, drop the rug. And he's like, why? And he's like, drop the fucking rug. And there's like all these like higher ups and these OGA, other government agency there, like information gathering or like trading stuff. And he's like, well, the guy's last deployment did it. Like, that's a good enough excuse. You know what I mean? And he's like, fine. And he just throws it off his shoulder, hits the ground, jerks me down, falls off my shoulder. You know what I mean? And I was just like, oh my God. And he's just like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, okay, go downstairs, rifle through some drawers, try to find cool shit. I'm like, damn it, dude. It's like, thanks, Dirty.
They got to get cool shit.
Yeah, he's like, well, last platoon, they took rugs.
That's what I keep hearing. Like, the early days are just the Wild West.
Yeah, guys got cool stuff, I guess.
Did you ever get any cool stuff?
No, it's called, it's illegal.
Oh, it's illegal now.
Yeah, you can't take anything, bring anything home unless you bought it like the bazaar there. So I bought a bunch of stuff at the markets there.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's like called war trophies. And
it's frowned upon now.
Yeah, and I mean, there's commands that have cool shit on the walls. They went through the process of like, oh, gold AK, yeah, like
we're bringing that back.
Yeah, and they're like, okay, here's the paperwork, put it up to the Congress or whatever, Pentagon, whoever needs to sign it to be like, okay, you guys can have it on your wall, But
did you have any close calls in that first deployment? Take fire in any meaningful way?
No, I mean we definitely took fire on the rooftops and stuff like that, but no grenades thrown on the roofs.
Did you have any injuries on that first deployment?
I don't think so. Mm-mm.
Did you,
No, I don't think so.
did you get your first kill on that deployment or no?
Yeah,
You want to talk about that? Tell me the story.
just shot up a vehicle.
Yeah.
That was fucking cool. Like I got the Iraqis to shoot first.
Mm-hmm. Just engage them first. Like, hey.
Yeah, because they were at that time they were making people super scared to shoot anybody. Like, you better ID him, make sure, because guys got in trouble prior to that deployment, for like prisoner abuse, which is retarded. And I can't say that word. It was stupid. And they were like, if you're gonna shoot, ask first. A lot. It was like they made you really, really scared.
So even in 05, the ROEs were like closing in.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because I think people just got away with a lot in the very beginning, you know, and so it made it very worried. But if the Iraqis you're working with open up, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So you'll have them as a target, you know what I mean? Have them open up and then you hop in on it.
Yeah.
It works. Times were like there was a dude with a weapon and I was on somebody else's SR-25 and I was like, hey, he's got a weapon, you know, in his hand. And I was like, hey, can I shoot him? I always kick myself. I should have shot the guy.
Yeah.
And I asked, and they was like, whoa, what kind of weapon? We should call back and ask. And this was one of the older guys. And to this day, he's like a shitbag. But they shouldn't even ask. And by the time they called, they was like, yeah, why are you guys asking? Because they asked us Navy SEALs to come up there and do Overwatch for the Army pushing through. Like that would like, we want you to come up and kill people.
Yeah.
You know, and then the guy was gone. I was like, damn it. They're like, why did I even ask?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what's going on with police today.
Oh,
like,
it's fine. They're 10 times worse for them.
Yeah.
Never could do that job.
So how was it watching the Army operate? They were just urban combat while you were doing Overwatch?
Just pushing through. They'll push tanks up and guys. And, you know, there's Johnny Walker. We worked with him a bunch. He was a linguist and he lives here now and has a book out. Awesome guy. He probably did 60 deployments. He lived over there and he was like the linguist for every team that came through for I don't know how many years. And then, well, I guess the teams and Tushin worked on him being able to get back here. So he moved to Texas recently.
Nice.
Good guy. Codename Johnny Walker's his book.
That's such a good name.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
He was our linguist up there in California. And we had this blow up doll looking thing from the waist up and we drew on it and made it look like Johnny Walker. And we like put that in windows so snipers would try to shoot at so we could figure out where they were. And like I put it in his bed when we came back one night and just put his blanket up over it. It looked exactly like him. I got some funny pictures of back in the day, man.
That's funny. So that deployment wraps up.
Yeah.
And you come back.
Yeah.
You had half a year before your next one, or what was that tempo like?
No, so that we had a year. Usually it's 18 months. So you come back, you have a 6 months of going to cool schools, then you have a year of workup, then you go another 6-month deployment. But since we deployed with 7, it was a year turnaround. So that next round, we went to Southeast Asia. So we went and worked with those guys and trained guys in the Philippines. And then part of our group took off. We were out of Guam, but spent our time really over in the Philippines. Some of the guys went down to Holo and Tawi-Tawi. It was like hunting Abu Sayyaf. Some of us went up to Indonesia and lived in this badass little dive resort and trained locals. And that was pretty fun. Just we'd go
that feel more like a vacation?
Yeah, you like eating sashimi and spearfishing and go and teach guys how to shoot and take over boats and stuff like that. That was fun.
Man. So that deployment was probably just more fun than anything.
Yeah. It was a good time. It's cool to have gone all 3 because there's some guys who get like 2 deployments or 3 deployments in Southeast Asia, 1 in Iraq, and you're like, it's like I wouldn't want to keep. It's fun, but I mean, if there's war going on, like you want to go to war. Like I would have rather gone back to Iraq or Afghanistan. I don't know. Like I probably got in trouble for fighting, and they were like punished me or something.
Punished you by sending you out to Southeast Asia.
Yeah, like go hang out in Thailand. Like go to the Philippines. That'll be good for you. I think I came back from that deployment owing like $1,400 on my government credit card. You're supposed to save like $25,000. I owed $1,400.
You should just live like a king out there.
I did. It was bad. It's really bad on relationships.
Yeah, we're not maintaining relationships out in the Philippines, out in Thailand.
No.
So you got back from that one. How was it coming back from that second deployment?
I had gotten a fight and
out in Thailand?
in Indonesia with some of my guys. Got in trouble, came back a little early.
What happened with the fight?
One of my buddies swung on me because I was messing with a new guy officer, and he's one of my good buddies. And we were in this place. It was like big bar with all glass tables and stuff. And he swung on me, and then we just went to town, and I was swinging on everybody, and we broke through all this glass and got all stitched up, like arm stitches inside of my head, and we ended up, breaking loose from each other, like fuck you, and we're bleeding everywhere. And we go back. We like paid the place like, I don't know, $900 American. We broke all these glass tables. Like,
it's like, hey, don't buy glass tables again.
Yeah, if it is, makes it that shatter stuff. You know what I mean? And we go back. Like, Corman was there, Monty, and he like stitching us all up. We're like, all right, make up. Like we're good, cool. And then the same people like came back to the base and wanted more money, and the local guys were like, we were training. We're like, okay, one more, we'll get more money for you, but then don't bug it. Don't bug the Americans again. And then they came back again. Like, if you bug us one more time, we're gonna burn your place down. So I guess they came back and bugged again, and they went and burned their place down. And that made it kind of a big deal.
Oh shit! So some of the guys on the base went back out there.
Yeah, and burned like their deli bar and everything down. So then it became like a big deal, and then it was like, oh, who started this? So I just took the rap for it. We weren't really supposed to be in that country. We weren't supposed to be drinking. I had just made E6, and everybody else was either already E6 or an E7. And I took the rap. I was just like, I'm the only one drinking. No one else got in trouble at all.
Nice.
Even though everyone was higher ranking and was drinking.
It's a bro move, right?
And then I got busted on E6 to E4.
Oh shit!
Because that was my first 6 months of making E6. Because I was really, you're an E5, you make E6, you got 6 months, then you put it on. And so I went to E4. Came back home, and then I was like, they're like, dude, okay, no more fighting. I was working at like Group 1 just for the higher ups, like until guys came back from deployment, just for like, it was like all Master Chiefs and like 04s and 5s, right? And so I was just working for them. I just go to work, take their garbage out, whatever they needed. You know what I mean? Like driving them around, picking them up. Like, it's my punishment. And, so I was doing that, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen my family. I was like, hey, can I go home for a week, see my mom? They were like, no, like you're in trouble for fighting. I was like, please, can I? And they're like, okay, but don't get in trouble. I go home. My buddy throws a party for me, a coming home party. I end up getting a big fight. Like cut my hand open on some guy's face, break his teeth back, split his face, head kick some other guy, knock him out in the parking lot. And it's a small town. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, well, let's leave. Let's go home. My buddy stitched me up with like mint dental floss. Didn't even clean it that good, so it got infected. I just stopped by the hospital all the way out of town, have him cut open the mint dental floss, like use iodoform where you pack it, you know what I mean? And then my buddy drove me all the way back to San Diego, and I go into work like 2 days later, and my buddy Will Spencer is one of the greatest frogmen in the world. We go in, and I'm sitting. They let me sit at this big, huge, long table with all these higher ups, and I'm sitting there, and I always get a mouth shut. And they're like, "So, how was your time visiting your family?" I was like, "It was good, thank you, sir."
Yeah.
They're like, "Really?" They're like, "How did you hurt your hand?" Right? Because I had a bandage. And they're like, I was like, "Oh, I fell skateboarding, got infected,
Fell down some stairs.
Yeah, and they're like, "Is that the story you're sticking with?" And I was like, "Yes." Like, okay. And then like, meeting ends, we're leaving. I'm walking out with Big Will Spencer. He wasn't a Master Chief then yet, but he was like my sea daddy, took care of me. And he goes, "They know." And I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? What do they know?" And he's like, "They know you got in a fight when you're visiting home." I was like, "How the fuck do they know that?" And he was like, "Well, it's a small town you must live in." It was one of the college students, and the kid had to go get like stitched up and like his tooth fixed, and they found out who you were by asking around, and they called the Navy and said that.
They just called the Navy.
Like, I don't know how they got a hold of the teams. They found out I was a team guy. I was the only team guy who lives in that little town. You know what I mean? Or where I'm from. So everybody knows. And they were like, they said that you beat up her son and said if she said anything, your dog would kill her. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, how did my dog get in on this? You know what I mean? I have a big American bulldog, and I was like, what? Like, I don't even know who this guy's mom is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if I told anybody, or your dog tried to attack her and you said you would kill her. I'm like, oh my God, like I wouldn't like,
yeah.
And I was like, that's not true.
Yeah.
I was like, well, is the first part? I was like, yeah. And
I mean,
like,
that's not
okay. He was like, well, okay. He was like, you gotta say no. You gotta tell the truth because sometimes you can get away with shit. Sometimes you can't, right? So I was like, went back in. I went to the Master Chief. I was like, hey, can you get everybody back together? And he's like, sure. It's like, okay, that sounds funny. And he goes and like gets that like there's like Pybus, he's like an '06, like '05s, these, you know, '04, Master Chief going there from some of the commands. And I was like,
It's like a kid being caught.
oh, dude, like not only that, like I busted down these 60 for already for fighting.
Yeah.
In another fight, when they're like, instead of kicking me out, they're like, hey, you're gonna be good, and we're gonna put you back to the team if you can be good. And the moment I get back, like it's like the second week is when I get in this fight, and I'm like, hey, I lied to all of you guys. This is what happened. They're like, yeah, we know, and they were just like, I don't even know what they did then. Like, we can't help you at this point, you know. And I was like, I don't know. What do you want me to do? You know what I mean? Anyway, they get rid of me. I think I had earned a lot of, say, silver bullets before that is what they do. Like, done a lot of good things. And these are just wrong place, wrong time. You know? So then I spent my time over there. They're like, hey, we're going to send you over to SEAL Team 1. You're going to go back to Big Will's platoon. The thing is, I get over there, and Big Will was going back to Southeast Asia. And they're like, you know what? I go back. This is even more after I go back to the SEAL team. I check in, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go visit my buddy Booster. He's working for like Triple Canopy or the agency or something. And so I fly to Boise to see him. We're all out, and it's like him, some guys from the agency, and they get in a fight, and I end up hitting this dude and just like smoking this guy's face. Blood goes everywhere. And this is like a week after checking to the SEAL team, right? And I'm like, oh man. So I start walking away. Police roll up. I'm like, all right. And they find out that guy's like a pilot. Right? And they're like, all right, well, nope, won't press charges. He gets in the ambulance, whatever. Okay, cool. Well, Boise, the state, charged me with battery. So no assault charges, but battery charges, the actual smashing of somebody.
Yeah.
So I got a lawyer. Lawyer's like, you know what, we'll get it done. I told him, I'm a Navy SEAL. They help me out. He's like, okay, cool. Paid him. He gets a sponge. Good to go. I go back. I tell that time frame, they're like, maybe we shouldn't send you to Southeast Asia. They're like, you know what? We're going to put you in Dan Luna's platoon. We want you to go Afghanistan. Right. So I get back. I check into Dan Luna's platoon. I tell Dan Luna, like, this is what happened. He's like, okay, cool. You got a lawyer. You're good to go. And I was like, yeah. Well, 3 weeks later, lo and behold, Dan Luna gets called in the Master Chief's office. I'm like, funny.
What do
Comes back and like, then they call me, and well, just in so facto, this guy like cracked his cheek a little bit, like right here in his face, and he couldn't go over 1G in his aircraft because blood would push through, and he couldn't deploy for a certain amount of time. And it was like the commanding officer was just to let you know, one of my guys, and he's a really nice guy, and he'd never start a fight, you know, or anything. And your guy hit him, and this is what happened. You know what I mean? And it's like the Master Chief I had then was badass. He's old, like he's out from Dev Group. And just an awesome guy, this guy Kevin, and he's just like, dude, what the fuck? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't choose to. I didn't start it.
It just happened, man.
It happened, man. And he's like, dude, I can't help you. Can't get another fight. I'm like, all right. And he's like, I'm glad you're going to Afghanistan with Dan. He's like, do me a favor and make me proud. And I was like, Roger that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. So I hopped in with Dan Luna, incredible man. That was this beginning of my my workup to go to Afghanistan.
And so what year is this workup?
That was 2008.
Okay. So what was the tone in that workup getting ready to go to Afghanistan?
Oh, it was awesome, man, because Afghanistan was still popping off. It was like me, Brad Kavner, he was the class after me in SEAL training, SQT, awesome guy. And finally, like, he was on his third platoon, I'm on my third platoon. He had just got back from augmenting at Dev Group. It was really cool. Me, him, Dan was on his fifth platoon. We just had some good guys, really good guys in that platoon. We pulled some other guys, Ryan Bates, my best friend. We pulled him over to our platoon to go to Afghanistan. Doo-doo, awesome second platoon guys. Like, we were a good platoon, and then our sister platoon was really stacked. A lot of those guys went out to Team 6 after that deployment too. We had some good new guys, some shit new guys. I had a new guy, Squints, incredible guy. He went out to Dev Group after that. We had Dan Pearson, amazing dude.
Is he the one that got in the parachute?
Yeah. When we just had good platoons and we went to Afghanistan, it was like game on.
Yeah.
Out the gate, it was like Dan Knossen got his legs blown off. The second op we're shooting dudes, like, I got blown off a roof, like one of those ops, like putting a C4 in the wall, I fly into the compound, land on like these sticks, like falling forward, get knocked out, split my nose, my lip, and my gear slid up, and all these massive bees in the wall just attacked me while I was knocked out, face down. And I
So
wake
they're
up,
just fucking you up.
just fucking me up. And of course, no one's gonna come like swat the bees off. You know what I mean? I'm just laying there knocked out, and I wake up to like Brad like pushing me with his foot. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I getting up. I'm like, oh man, like face is bleeding. I push my teeth back a little bit, and I'm like, oh my back, dude. Oh, I fucked up my back. Check it out. And he's like, nah, dude, you just got stung by hella bees. Like, oh man, dude. That was like the beginning of that deployment.
Oh, shit.
It was incredible, man. That deployment was like, it was one of the greatest. Like the stories that come out of that deployment are just bananas.
So the so the double legs was that double legs?
Dan Canasta getting his legs blown off. Yeah.
So what happened with that? Was that IED or?
So working with the DEA, they're called FAST team. So it was a DEA FAST team target, and it was like a huge drug target. So I think there was SF, the first group of guys, team guys. Had flown in, went on that, and it was up this mountainside, and he stepped on a pressure plate, and it was like a old Russian round, I don't know, the 155 or 105 that went low order, and it was daisy chained up the hill to other rounds where everybody was coming over that hill to hit the target, and that one went low order and didn't ignite any of the other ones.
Damn.
So took his legs off, broke his arms.
They got him out of there.
The EOD, well, there's other birds coming in. The EOD was pushing the dirt aside, getting him back, put a bunch of tourniquets on him, and got him out. And we didn't see him after that till we all got back from deployment. You know, and he ended up doing the Paralympics. He's a badass dude.
Nice.
Amazing man.
So
But that made everybody like, oh, it's Afghanistan. Like,
Yeah,
this is
shit.
it. Like, yeah, you're ready.
so the DEA out there. So was that like opium? Is what they
Yeah,
were
so like
after?
black tar
Yeah.
and marijuana. Because there's just fields of marijuana. It's all just bammer ass swag, and they take it, chop it down, they keef it out, and they get the crystal, and then pack it all together. I guess.
That's probably what they do.
Yeah, I've heard.
I wouldn't know. So that happened.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
So what happened? What else happened at the beginning of it? So you guys just hit the ground running, doing raids, or
Yeah, so we we were in Kandahar a bit, doing raids out of there, and then we pushed. They pulled our group. We actually planned an op with the DEA fast team, me, Dan, and Brad, to go do an op with them, and we got pulled off like the day before to go up to Talifar in Aruzgan, and those guys went on a raid, ended up crashing the helicopter, and half of those dudes died.
oh shit,
Which we would have been in that bird, which is pretty wild. We go up to Talifar, and it was like me, Dan, Brad, and some other guys. Ryan, Dudu, and we were just doing, it was like Taliban controlled area all around us. It was like we would get air assets for more high value stuff. If we didn't, we would just do like patrol to contact and go pick fights in Taliban areas. And we had horses. We'd like,
oh yeah, tell me about that. I've seen some of the pictures. So what was that?
How much? I mean, it's like going out and peacemaking. You know what I mean? It's like, that was wild. Like I had a son Mohawk, and we were out in the middle of nowhere, so we could like get away with, you know, there wasn't a bunch of generals walking around. We were working with, I think, third group SF guys, and they had been there a while. So when we got there, we were just like, let's go. And they're like, oh man. So we'd get out and we'd be doing stuff, and then some of their guys would be like, damn, they're doing cool shit. And so they'd hop in with us, and we had these crappy horses that Ryan decided to tame to try to ride, and he kind of tamed them, but they were still like, we eventually couldn't like ride them much because they would just lay down. And so we're like, okay, fine, let's put gear on them, take our plates out, put it on there, you know, do 6 or 7 clicks to target, just leading the horse and a night vision. And then when we're close, take our gear off. You know, he'd be carrying like my 60 millimeter mortar and a bunch of rounds and extra ammo. And then we'd go hit the target. And the next morning we'd raise a flag above the target and like, we're here to fight, and then get in a fight that day with the Taliban. You know what I mean? That night, sneak out and go home.
Yeah.
But sometimes those horses would just lay down and not get up. You're just like, oh my
Like,
God, what do you do? You can't force this, you know, 800-pound horse up. Like, damn it. So you got to wait for a while, like coax it to get up. Finally it gets up. Like,
So is there a big difference between Taliban fighters, Iraqi fighters?
yeah, it just depends. I think early on in that war, there was a lot in Iraq, especially, you know, most of the guys that were Saddam's military guys were killed off, but then it was like insurgents were coming in. You know what I mean? And they were, you know, I don't know if they're pro Saddam or whoever was, it's probably Iran paying them or something like that. And so there was a lot of insurgents coming in, and that was a lot of urban. Like, you're driving in town, you're like, is someone going to throw something down on me? You know what I mean? Afghanistan, Taliban. I don't know how they live out there, man. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, man. There's some good fighters. There's some tough fighters. There's guys who just fight because they're paid a little bit. There's guys who fight because, they're like a farmer and then they did their farming and then there's not a lot. And then there's not a lot of fighting in the winter because those guys, Taliban, like, it's damn cold.
Mm-hmm.
Cold sucks for everybody. So they just go over to Pakistan for the winter and then spring hits and they're on it to fight again. And
is there any, from that Afghan deployment, is there any big firefights, anything that really sticks out to you, just really memorable?
oh, there's a lot. Like there was
Let's
a
hear
lot
it.
of sniper Overwatch. There was a lot of like it was game on all the time. Like I got pinned on a roof and it was me and my buddy. He's out at DevGrim now, and we were stuck on this roof. And we had stacked. We were like restacking sandbags, and I couldn't like get my feet totally in, and like it was like snap, snap, snapping overhead, and a few would hit the wall, and we were just kind of like chuckling, like kind of taking bets of which one of my feet was going to get hit first, or like would it be a toe? Is it going to be more inside the toe? Is it going to be my big toe? Like $50 says it's going to be the middle toe. You know what I mean? That was kind of fun. Got off the roof, and then other guys got stuck up there. And when the other guys are stuck up there, I saw dudes up on the mountainside, and I had my 60 millimeter mortar, and that thing is like, I just got good with Kentucky windage, and I was like, and then I'd like take the cheese off 60. There's these little cheese on the bottom for power, and then I'd be like, okay, take that cheese off, and it'd be like HE round, then a Willie Pete white phosphorus, and then dumped those two dudes on the hillside. And like one of them came over comms and it was like, I'm burning. And I was like, yeah, sucker.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, you are, dude. So the guys got off the roof. I mean, we did some, like, we were doing a lot of sniper Overwatch, just picking fights. A lot of cool footage, came from that deployment. And we were like calling in fire. JTAT's calling fire on the hillsides. A lot of times you hit a compound because you're finding, weapons that were buried and stuff like that. And then they'd lie, or they'd run up on the hillside with their buddies and shoot down and try to mortar you, and you just call in like a B2 just to drop a chain of 350 pounders. Or we were in a firefight one time with these guys, and it was 350 yards away about this house, and they were yelling. You could hear them yelling, and we blew a hole in our compound. We had a loudspeaker, and my buddy had his 60. Yeah, I was like, I can't say it. I was like, you fight like bitches, like you're a bunch of, I can't say what I was saying. When I was like calling them names and telling them all these very crude things, you know what I mean? And I'd hear them yelling. I get on my loudspeaker, but I learned how to say this from it was in Pashto. I was yelling in their language, there's just terrible things to them.
And they're probably like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're like yelling back, and I'd yell, and my buddy would like open up with his 60 just through their windows and stuff like that. And then I'd get on the loudspeaker and yell. And then we dropped a 500 pounder on it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was cool. They were that deployment was like, it was awesome. It was pretty nonstop like that. We had a little base. Our base got like attacked like 7 times while we were there. And like, it was like,
Just like small forces coming at night?
yeah,
or?
I don't know, who knows? 3 to 10 dudes would come and try to hit the base at night and shoot RPGs and try to mortar and small arms fire at the base. And we all had our like positions to take up. Me and Ryan and Dudu, like we were supposed to go out the front gate on 4-wheelers, go up the hill behind because we had 81 millimeter mortars, get up there and then shoot and try to mortar dudes. And you'd get up on that backside, and then you'd come up this hill, this saddle, and you'd just be like tracers, and like you just hear snap overhead, and you're like, oh, and you'd get up to the top. You're just like, damn.
Oh, fuck. All right. I guess I got to do this.
Yeah. It was like, that was like, I remember driving up there, and Dudu was like on the 4-wheeler behind me, like on my 4-wheeler. We got to the top, and it was like, snap, snap, all shit. And Ryan was below, and Ryan tells the story. He's the best storyteller. He's looking up, and he's like, oh, no, they're going to die. I'm not going up there. And I feel it. I just feel this snap, and hear this over my head. And I turn the 4-wheeler to go up this way. And I'd never seen someone get smaller. And Dudu's on my back holding like this, and I just see him go. And it became like this big. I was like, how did he get so small? Like, I'm the one going to get hit. Oh, man. Yeah, it was just wild, man. We had so much fun.
Man.
Then halfway through that deployment, we went out east. We met up with the second part of our platoon, and then we did ops out of there. They were pretty fun.
So how was that second part? Same tempo?
No, a little less tempo, but just kind of a different area. There was a warlord that we worked with down there. And he would just walk up the doors and open them. You're like, dude, you're gonna get shot. Just old Abdullah. He was like 11 when he was fighting the Russians with his dad, and he remembers like Americans supplying with weapons. So he was like, you know, he was like on our side. So he was like a warlord that everybody knew. And we were like, my mom sent all this clothing and books from her church over, and like K through 8th grade books. So there's like, I don't know, 4 or 6 little towns nearby. So we let everybody know, like, hey, we got a bunch of clothing. We have all these books. So we made friends with them, and I handed out books and clothing. And I had actually a couple teachers come in from Kandahar and do weekly, stayed on our base. There's, you know, some Afghan teachers come in and then start a little school. And no girls were allowed to go to school, but all boys come up and go to school. But that was really cool.
Yeah.
With that is like, that's not what I want to do over there. I want to smoke dudes. But we never got IED'd. So they would tell us when Taliban would come in
Nice.
to that area. They'd be like, yeah, these 2 guys came through asking for stuff. We think they planted an IED over here. You know, we like you guys. So we'd hire locals to do stuff and make friends with them. And
That's helpful.
I think that saved lives. But then it takes one guy, I forgot the guy's name, like Nabo Bergdahl, but there's another guy who just decided, like, fuck everybody, went off base and started like shooting women and kids. And that just ruined it again. Now
of the
no one
team
likes
guys?
you. No, not a team guy. It was some army guy on another base.
Oh shit.
But the word travels. It's like,
Yeah.
you make all this progress, and it's one idiot goes and ruins it.
And just an American's an American.
Right. Yeah.
Did you while you were in Afghan, did you run into any scenarios where like Taliban found out that they were working or helping you guys and there's retaliations against them?
I think that usually comes after.
Yeah.
Like there's a guy who was our interpreter in Afghanistan, awesome guy, and he just reached out like a week ago. I haven't talked to him since 2010.
Wow.
And I was like, who is this? Because I get reached out, like these random people reach out. It's always like a Chinese nationalist or something. I'm like, I don't know you, block. You know what I mean? And he's like, no, it's Pete. And I was like, dude, sent me a picture. I was like, okay. He finally got over here in 2020. They killed like his family and brothers, and he was able to get out. I don't know if he was able to bring family, but he's living out in like Connecticut or something like that. And I was stoked for him, man.
That's crazy.
That happens a lot. I think a lot of those guys that help us, if they don't get out of there, they get smoked for sure.
So what do you think about the withdrawal from Afghanistan?
Trash, of course.
Yeah.
This is crap. Like, what in the world? I think that was like, I think the amount of votes that Biden wanted to get for that, because like, oh, I brought the guys home, ended the war.
Yeah.
And it was worth all the votes that he got for that from the extreme side, the other side, because he already knows he's lost the military vote, veteran vote, lost all those votes.
Yeah.
That's less than 1%. You know, veteran vote makes it, I think veterans with military is like what, 3.5% to 4%, where government subsidies is like 15, welfare.
Yeah.
He's got all those votes. So why does he give a shit about 4%?
Right.
You know what I mean? And of course, leaving everything there creates just a suction, a vacuum. The problem is then we give up Bagram. China takes Bagram.
Yeah.
China's in there. Russia's
Because I heard
in there.
reports like
Taliban's in full control, set up the government.
while they haven't made the full withdrawal yet, there's already Chinese army
Sure.
in there.
Yeah. I mean, the Chinese got the first mining rights in 2010, right under our noses.
Wow.
When ideally we should have gotten the mining rights because there's $1 trillion worth of copper and gold and minerals up in the mountains there. But China got those rights.
Wow.
10, like lithium mines.
So why do you think, is looking at it and from a tactical standpoint, it seems like the worst way they could have withdrew out of there.
For sure.
Why do you think they did it like that?
Because it was he didn't give a shit.
I think that's a good way to put it.
You know, what did he have to lose?
Yeah.
You know, he's already lost the vote for the next time he was planning on running from the military. You know, he wants to be the guy who ended the war. You know, it's just, you know, who knows? I mean, my belief, he's being paid off. He's been paid by the Chinese for years.
Yeah, I agree.
Personal belief. And for years, like, not like 5 years, probably 20 years.
Long time, him and his son.
Yeah. Family.
Yeah. Speaking
Not
of that,
anymore.
yeah, not anymore, baby. Daddy come. Daddy Trump is back. So you get done with that deployment. So how is that wrapping up? So how is the end of that?
It's great. I mean, it's just a good deployment. It was like it was literally the reason you become a team guy.
Yeah.
That deployment. Like, I mean, to this day, a lot of those guys went to their teams. A lot of guys went out to team 6 on the East Coast, and a lot of those guys are like, that was a badass deployment. You know what I mean? Both of our platoons just got into it all the time. You know, Eddie was in my sister platoon, Eddie Gallagher. My sister platoon, we just had everybody's had such a good time, and it was like camaraderie was good. It was just nonstop gnarly shit, like RPGs flying overhead. Like one of the first ops too, one of our new guys had his helmet off and it was sitting on the wall, and we started get RPG'd, ducked, and a bullet took his strobe off, just hit the top. But obviously he wasn't wearing the helmet, so his strobe goes flying. I was like, and he did a grenade off, and he's like, grenade out. They weren't even close, they're like 300 yards away. You know what I mean? He's
just
like,
instinct,
instinct. He's like, I was just looking for the opportunity to throw a grenade. You know, like it was just so rad, man.
Man, that sounds.
I'm like in the compound. My buddies are on the wall. I'm like, the dude's like running away through a field, and I'm like, got this mortar. I'm like, thunk. And they're up like, okay, a little bit right. And he's running away like at 6 miles an hour. I'm like, okay.
Doing the math.
Thunk. Oh my God, you got him. Like just insane stuff, dude.
Oh, man. Yeah, what you signed up for?
100%.
Yeah.
Good people. Like, you know, you're doing these ops here and there where you're just flying over these beautiful mountains that no one's seen before, unless you've been there in that Black Hawk. Like you're sitting with buddies, you're all cold, going into target, coming off, flying back for a couple hours through this beautiful mountains in the southern Hindu Kush.
Yeah.
You know, it's wild.
Did you guys lose anybody on that deployment?
No. We had some guys get fragged from RPGs and stuff like that and go home. Actually, not in my platoon.
Nice.
Yeah, that's with this. Dude, I remember like leaning in to talk in a firefight where they were like attacking our base. I remember leaning in. I was looking at Brad. He was looking at me, and we were trying to talk, and it was like getting snap, and I leaned in to say something. He kind of leaned in, and we took a round right here. Like I was like this close to him, gonna say something, and a round like snapped right between us. You like feel that snap.
Yeah.
It's like, and then we got down. We were like talking above the wall like this much. And
you just got too comfortable.
yeah, we just like got down and like we were just like, oh, that was close, dude.
We can do anything.
Yeah, man. It's like because you don't think about dying. Like I've thought about it afterwards and felt like a lot of emotion, but never before and never during. You're like you don't even think you're invincible. You just don't think about it. You're like, oh yeah, we're in it. Like I'm gonna get them.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get them before you. It's like competition, you know.
So speaking of that, is there, now that you're really big into hunting, is there a difference between hunting people, bad guys, and hunting?
Yeah, you feel bad when you kill an animal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like a good, like, feel, you know, it's like an honor to kill it. It's an honor to take that food home and provide. You're providing a lot. You know what I mean? For your friends and family. And I enjoy hunting. I enjoy the challenge. I like bow hunting. But like, it is sad. And you should have some type of personal emotion for both. You know what I mean? Like killing people is also not something you're supposed to do. It may be a necessity, but I don't think God made us to take other people's lives. Now it became a necessity from sin and protecting yourself and evil and everything. I think some people are better at it than others. Some people compartmentalize. I have felt bad before, like, you know, killing somebody in one room, some bad dude in the next room, and it's cold and snow. You're in the next room, their wives and kids are huddling under the blanket, you know, and like they don't know that their dad is a bad guy.
Yeah.
So you're the bad guy to them. They don't know their dad is, you know, smuggling RPGs and weapons, who is involved in building IEDs and killing Marines. Like they don't know that. So, and you know what's interesting? I always think like this. I always think that love is connected with goodness. Crazy thought. That kid loves his dad the same way I love my dad. That father loved his son the same way my father loved me.
Yeah.
Now I'm the judge of taking that dude's life, and he's not a good man,
Right.
in my belief system.
Yeah.
And I'm not a good man in his belief system. And it's like, oh, well, who makes who right? That's always a question, right? Well, I'm like, okay, well, I think I'm on the right side.
Yeah.
But it also comes into play, like, well, this kid lost his father. I just took that father out of the picture. Probably many fathers I've taken out of the picture. The love that they have with each other is the same as anybody else's love.
When you take a big step back and just look at all of it.
Yeah, like he doesn't know. The kid doesn't know his dad is fighting this war against these other people who don't believe the way he does, and he's blowing people up, and his dad's doing it for his beliefs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a really interesting way to look at it. But
it is interesting. And do you think for yourself, or just kind of guys in that position in general. Do you think it has an impact or a lasting impact on like the psyche, like when you get back for your life?
Yeah, I don't know, man. For a long time there, I felt like, it's like a lot of those missions where, you're going to get into it or even not. And even if you don't get into it, but a lot of them when you do, I feel like before you go out and you accept your death and then you move on from that, I think you lose a little bit of you maybe each time. After times where it was really close to dying and stuff, like drinking by the fireplace, getting a little drunk with your buddies, like listening to sad music or whatever, or not even sad music, like that's where you get emotional, or that's where I got emotional. And it's like, I think about like how my mom would just be so heartbroken, like losing her last son. And then it'd make me, cry or feel really, really bad. Not that I wouldn't continue doing it, but like, man, like how heartbroken those that love me, how heartbroken they would be, and I picture them and see them sad and them heartbroken. I died. That's where I'd get emotional, afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think over time, of course, whether it's conscious or subconscious, if I had to do it again, I would kill more people, more bad dudes probably.
So what do you think after that deployment and then after you got on your way out of the military, what kind of bothered you the most?
Guys that kill themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like when I was at Team 5, we had a super good dude end up killing himself. Kyle Paulson, his nickname was Hair Pie. Like just a beautiful man. Everywhere he went, the women would just like, "What is your name? What is your number?" Like walk through the bar, just like my buddy Ryan Bates. He there's only known two men that can do that, where you're at a table in a bar or a restaurant and they walk in like, "Oh, hey guys," and they're walking over to you and like girls are yanking on their arm, like asking their name and number.
Like this happens?
Like, what the fuck? I've heard of this. Like that was Hair Pie. He ended up killing himself. Eddie Furlani killed himself. Rob Guzzo killed himself.
Why do you think guys kill themselves?
Well, I know my Hair Pie dad, his chick was pissing him off and he was like, fuck it, and played Russian roulette and lost that one.
Damn.
And I think, guys get depressed and guys feel down, or I think there's guys, testosterone gets low from a lot of either overpressure, blast, TBI, high stress, their hormones are fucked up. Guys will be depressed and feel like they're a drag on their family, and then feel like their family and their buddies are better off without them. Or guys, the guy's buddy dies and he's like, I could have saved him, and that puts him in some depression, and that constant back-to-back work can get guys just, a lot of mental shit going on. And I think a lot of that comes from obviously like that high stress, your hormones are fucked up, cortisol levels, you get in this, you truly believe that you're a drag on your family and your buddies because you don't want to ask for help, or if you're a bummer or you're needy, you don't want to be needy. You're like the alpha, you're like the protector, you're like the guy who goes to war to protect his friends and family and provide. If you feel you're not providing enough, you're feeling you're doing not a good enough job, like they're better off with the money and making their own, especially guys like maybe fighting with their chick or their wife and she's being shitty and like he's doing his best and like money is not good in the SEAL teams, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is. And guys are like, they're better off just making decisions without me. I'm out. And it's almost applaudable. It's almost like what it was ever like.
Their last act of sacrifice.
Yeah. It's like, I know those guys weren't cowards for a fact. You know what I mean? And for someone to be capable of really doing it and not just crying for help and then, over and over again, like, hey, if they truly feel they are killing themselves and people are better off, their friends and family are better off with them out of the picture, and they really do it. It's scary to kill yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know how many people had a gun in their mouth before. It's probably quite a lot more than you think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they're like, who's going to feed my dog? My mom's going to be sad. Like, well, fuck it. Like, I'm not doing it. But for a lot of times I didn't understand suicide, and I thought it was like weakness or something like that. Yeah. And then I know it's not, because of my cousin Ethan, who bought me that workout book when I was in 6th, 7th grade. Like, there's clinical depression where he had clinical depression for 20 years. When I built half face blades up big enough, I drove to the docks. He was working on the dock. He's a very overweight dude, never had a relationship. He's 50, but he's the one who bought me that Navy SEAL workout book. And I drove up to the docks in Brookings, Oregon, and I knocked on his window, and I was like, quit your job. You're moving to San Diego with me. You're going to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so stoked to do that. And I helped him battle depression, got him on meds, and he had really bad clinical depression. Like, he'd be at the shop and cry.
Damn.
And he'd be like, does it ever feel like your heart is breaking all day long? But like, that would break my heart. And I was like, and I, you know, everybody knows the feeling of a broken heart, and like makes you cry. And I just like, no, not all day, you know, and I'd hug him. My guys in the shop would hug him, and kind of just battled depression. And he was late to work one morning, and I called Kelsey, and Kelsey called me, and he's like, Ethan's not here. It's like 9. I was like, oh, I just had this sinking feeling. He like went up to Home Depot parking lot and shot himself in the head with a 22.
Oh shit.
And I like, you know, that was a lot, because for a buddy, like a SEAL to kill himself, for a buddy, something like that, you know what he's going through, like, you know what it's from a bit. And they're at a different capacity than somebody who's 50, who's like this big sweetheart dude who's just battling depression, and you're trying to provide a better life. Like, I got him a new truck, and I worked on his payment schedule with him. We paid off his bills. I was trying to keep him eating good, but he would like hide his Burger King under under other wrappers and the thing. And I'd be like, can't do that, you know, and just really helping him, and love the guy. I mean, grew up with him when I was a kid, you know, and that was really rough, just because you're just like, he lived with me.
What year was that?
Oh, man, that was probably 2017.
Oh man,
18 maybe, probably 2018.
Did he struggle with depression his whole life, or?
That's since his mom died like 20 years before, you know, and he was like a mama's boy. And she said, Mom, we got hit by a car, I think, in her vehicle in Iowa. I just battled it. Just clinical at that point. Like, I found his meds. He stopped taking them, and you really have a dip during that time frame. And I had talked to him about suicide before, and you know, I know he had thought about it many times. You know, and we were going to church. He met a buddy at church who had been through some stuff, and they became friends. And I'd go to church with them, and I'd pray with him in the morning. My mom would always call and pray with him in the morning, and I hadn't prayed with him that morning, and like, so I felt bad then. Yeah. You know, and then I got home, and I looked on the shelf, my bookshelf, and there was a book open to the page. It was a gunshot wound book open to the page of 22 to the head. Oh, fuck. On the shelf. I didn't notice it.
Because he was living with you right there.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And, you know, I went into his room, and I was cleaning his room up. I had to get the...
How'd you find out? Did you get a call from
police? Police. And I had to pick his vehicle up, sit there and rinse all the blood out. You know what I mean? They had the one hole, because the round bounces around your head. It's 22, and there's one hole, and there's blood everywhere in the car. I had to clean that car up to sell his car, and then go through his belongings. And he had like his favorite things, you know, it was like, you know, one of the knives he made in my shop in his little cool drawer, and like, just like really, 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 really heartbreaking, man. That was the rough one.
Damn. Do you remember the last time you talked to him?
That morning, before he killed himself, yeah. I was like, stop leaving the toilet seat up. Make sure you put another bucket. You know what I mean? I was like, I love you, see it work. Yeah, you know? Yeah. He's like, love you, see it work.
And you had didn't feel anything off?
No. He's always, you know, we were always battling depression with him.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, and I was trying to give him more responsibility, to like feel more responsible, and maybe that was too much. I don't think his parents taught him like life's a little rough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is that the one that bothers you the most?
Yeah, it's because like, he lived with me, man.
Yeah.
I was just trying to give him a better life. I was trying to battle that depression with him, and it's like, you know, that's rough.
Damn, that is rough.
You know, it's like one that you feel he could have solved so much easier. And you know, my mom, you know, is just like, listen, if he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it. And it's like, you probably prolonged his life that much longer.
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of sad too, because if he was battling depression, he was like depressed all day, every day. He was just hanging on because he loved me, or loved, you know, loved my mom and my friends.
And you probably, I mean, those last, I don't know, but from what you told me, that period with you is probably the best time he ever had.
Best life he had.
Best life.
Man. Like, we'd be going out to eat, like whatever you want. Like,
he's probably
got his paycheck, got to buy whatever he wanted, make sure he had a new truck, you know, like he was more independent. You know, he was working like 3 days a week and living on someone's floor on a mattress in Brookings. And I was like, fuck no. Like,
you changed his life.
I had built this outdoor shop in my backyard, fucking good to go, real bed. Like, you know, that's a rough one, man. And, you know, like, I know I could have done more.
Yeah.
You know.
And you made the impact. You made the impact that God wanted you to make.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Have you had one since then?
Geo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 2 months.
Damn.
You know,
So
another rough one, very odd one.
how'd you first meet Gio?
Geo was on deployment with Eddie Gallagher when Eddie got back, and they started going after Eddie. And Eddie got pulled and thrown in jail. We started making like free Eddie T-shirts to raise money for his lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Geo came forward, was like, "I'll get on the stand for Eddie." So he'd come to my like the first fundraiser we had, and then that's when I met him. Started like becoming really good friends with him. He met my niece, and he just became like he started live with me, like attached at the hip for years. Married my niece as well.
Wow,
Changed his last name to Arrabito.
Wow.
As well. Spent a lot of time together every day. I mean, he lived with me for a while. And then him and my niece had a pretty big falling out. He was going through a bit, and he did his own thing. My niece was doing a thing. They were going to get a divorce, and so I didn't spend a lot of time with him over the last year from when they had kind of a falling out, and then started seeing him more recently, like each week. Was chatting with him about his new business plan and all these things he was going to do, and started helping him there. And it was just so good to see him. And he was like, I want to make you proud. I want to bury the hatchet. And I was like, dude, I don't have an issue with you. I think this whole thing with my niece is stupid. I know she's makes bad decisions. I know you have a big ego, and I love you, but we've gone through so much together. Me, him, some of my other really close friends. We were like we did everything together. Trips up north, see my mom, parties. Like some of them like to go to like EDC festivals, and I don't. But I'd go. Like me and Gio would go and spend time with him. Like look out for everybody, and like we did so much time together. You know what I mean? Me and him would eat mushrooms together, like trip together, like talk about the craziest stuff. Like when you're that close to somebody. Yeah. And of course, I brought him in like a brother. Met my family, all my friends became close with all them. It was really so good to kind of reconnect with him because that he really thought he'd buy me out, and he was upset with me. Like I was choosing my niece over him, and I was like, dude, it's not that. I'm not like my niece. I'm let her live with me and help her out. It's like I got to focus on my business, all these things. You're gonna crush it, and he was pretty bummed on that, and he was going through some other stuff. Reconnected with him. It was awesome. Saw him on Monday, came to the shop, hung out with him in the shop, talked about a bunch of stuff. Was all right, cool, I love you. He was going to come back that Friday, and he was going to the game with my buddy Nick, and he was going to dinner with my buddy Dom, his other buddy, they were living together. He was living part-time in Oklahoma, and I think it was like Wednesday, it was either Wednesday or whatever, like killed himself. Shot himself in the bedroom. His dogs were in the room.
Damn.
His service dog and his other dog. And there's a lot of interesting stuff with that, but I can't go into any stuff because it's probably still an investigation on all that. But
don't want to dig into it, but are they assuming that it might be something else?
No, he definitely killed himself.
Okay.
But there's a bunch of other stuff that I'm not at liberty to talk about. But.
That's rough, man.
Yeah, it was like that one's so rough too because like he was so loved. He talked about, he helped a lot of other veterans like get through rough times. He talked about getting through rough times like he was through it, and I was like, no, you're not. Like, how do you go on a podcast and talk about like getting through PTSD or rough times when you're like, But he did. He helped so many guys out, and I was like. There was a lot, it kind of bummed me out because there was a lot of people like reposted this one podcast he did about getting through these rough times and how you have to think these mental thoughts to get through. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why are you doing that? It's almost like a kick in the face because obviously he didn't win that battle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there was more, I'm not saying it's just PTSD, like, whatever the weight of the world is on your shoulders, trying to please everybody, trying to be successful financially, all these things, feeling shame, feeling like you're not being a success, along with maybe some PTSD, along with civilian life's hard compared to military life. You know what you got to do every day in military. The civilian side, it's tough, you know what I mean? And there's no expectations. You got to build everything yourself. Mm-hmm. If you want something from the VA, you got to be proactive. Yeah. They're only going to do X amount, you know what I mean? So yeah, that one's fresh, man. That's a lot. I have like 5-6 dudes kill themselves.
Damn. That's a lot of loss and grief and weight to carry.
And Brad Kavner and Aaron Vaughn and Extortion 17, some of those dudes, you know, yeah, Brad being the closest.
And what happened with Brad?
He was running I think Static Line Jump Master he was running. So one of the schools we go to, and he had a little parachute on the front here, and he was sending guys out the door in this little piece of plastic. It's like a new piece from a company that's building him. It broke. So his parachute opened and caught the door and yanked him out. Yeah. That was another hard phone call. My buddy Dan, and he was like, sit down. I was like, Brad's dead. Like, there's no, like, when you get those phone calls, there's no, like, at least for us, when we have to tell somebody, it's like straight up. It's like, I called Alex, you know, like, they hadn't been talking. They were just, because they were a year into getting a divorce. I was just like, hey, Gio's dead.
Damn.
There's no fucking.
There's no beating around.
There's no like, well, I got to tell you something. Gio, well, there was a gun in his hand. And you know what I mean? It's like.
Was there. Does anybody know why?
Why he killed himself?
Yeah.
I have theory.
Yeah.
That, you know, I have some theory, but that's his personal stuff.
Of course.
My theory is probably pretty good.
You probably knew him pretty well.
Yeah.
But
man, he had a new girlfriend. He was doing good. He had these big plans. He was kind of a, you know, like gusto, like big plan type guy. He was one of the best writers I ever met. Incredible speaker. Should have been a lawyer.
I've seen him speak. He's a really good speaker.
Oh, incredible writer. I know it wasn't planned.
Yeah.
Because he would have written me a letter.
Yeah.
I know that. You know what I mean? I know it's a pretty last minute thing. And I don't think we have his iPad yet. I think that's still being held. Not sure, but I have to.
So there's an investigation in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you were really involved with Eddie in that entire case. And pretty much there's a documentary out on it.
Yeah.
A lot of people have talked about it, but for people that aren't too familiar with you being that tied into it, just a quick overview. What happened?
I mean, before Eddie got rolled, he was staying with me, and like we got, hi buddy, hi Crow. We got like a phone call from one of our other buddies, and it was like, hey, you're gonna get rolled up tomorrow. Like some other guys knew at the command, our SEAL buddies.
Just a heads up.
Just a heads up, pretty much. You know what I mean? It was like, oh shit. And he was in my sister platoon, wasn't in my platoon, and that was in 2010. And they tried to rope me in. The investigators, Crow, come here, lay down, Bubba. They tried to rope me into it, saying like, because I got the names. I forgot how I got them. I got the names of all the guys that were accusing him of stuff. Wrote it on a piece of paper, and I instead of sending anything I got it via like text or something like that, right?
Of all the accusers.
Yeah. And I was like, all right. It was like WhatsApp or some shit. And I was like, all right, well, let's, you know, I was like, I'm going to go on Facebook to our SEAL group and put all the names out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, whatever. And Eddie didn't delete his that. So when he got rolled up, they took his phone, opened it, and they found those, you know what I mean? And they found some other messages where he was like, talked about a knife and stuff like that. And those guys had some of my knives and tomahawks in that deployment. And so I got roped into it. And they were like, they served me papers to hold all communication, past communication with him and stuff like that. And I was like, I just ripped up, threw it in the garbage in front of the agent, and he was like, you can't do that. And I was like, I just did. You're not, like, I'm a civilian. Like, you have no authority. He's like, I'm a federal agent. And I was like, you're not my federal agent.
Yeah.
And I talked, because I lawyered up too, you know what I mean? And my lawyer was like, you know, they got copies. And I was like, yeah, I just thought it looked cool. You know, he's like, you're going to really piss them off. Just don't do that. And I was like, okay, fine. But it's
about the message.
Yeah. It's like, I said no. And, you know, I just got roped into it that way. And they like asked guys on the stand if they knew me, and if I was they kind of accused me of intimidating witnesses so they wouldn't go against Eddie. And it was all stupid. I was like, that was in 2010 when we were together, and it was my sister platoon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a lot. And you know why this is crazy is because I was making knives for my buddy Johnny. He started SEAL Future Foundation. And when I first started making knives in 2014 in California, you could still use, woolly mammoth and woolly mammoth ivory, like teeth and ivory and stuff. Sometime in 2016, they banned it to be used and sold. You can own it. You can buy it. Not in California, you can own it.
Right.
And I didn't know that in 2016 when I was making knives for this foundation to auction off and raise money and for Eddie, you know what I mean, and for other guys that need money. And I just found out, but I had already donated the knives. And it was like a week earlier, I found out I can't be doing that anymore, selling that. So they were a donation anyway. But I was like, I hit Johnny. I was like, hey, don't say it's woolly mammoth teeth in that knife. I just found out I can't be selling it. Either way, it's a donation. So he got up and he's talking about the knives. And I was like, this is when Eddie had got back from deployment, right when he started getting investigated, right before he got rolled up. And I was like, talking about the knives, and I was like, and there's something really special about this knife, but I can't tell you. And I was just, and it was the woolly mammoth.
Yeah.
One of the main accusers was there at the event and thought it's because it was Eddie's knife that he had supposedly killed somebody on deployment. Was the accusation, right? Until they found that he didn't. But that was this accusation of Eddie stabbing that thing. And this kid who was Eddie had called out for being a bitch and a coward who hated Eddie, kind of started the ringleader of this whole thing. He just assumed that knife was Eddie's from deployment. Told the NCIS investigators that it was that knife.
Yeah.
So then they hit me up. I was like, talk to Johnny. I was like, here's the reason. I was like, no, it was because there was woolly mammoth in it and all these things. Finally that cleared up everything. But that was like, it's just like the stupidest shit in the fucking world, dude.
So why were those guys making those accusations? They just didn't like Eddie?
Yeah. Because Eddie's a hard ass, solid dude, war fighter.
Yeah.
And those guys are fucking pussies.
Are they still?
Some of them are out. I don't know who's, there was only 2 remaining at the end.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, yeah. Yeah, this has gone way too far.
Yeah.
And they were told that, like, hey, one of the master chiefs was like, hey, listen, guys, if you're going to accuse them of this, you're already 7 months too late, and you better have some real deal knowledge of this. And, he called some of those guys pussies. Guys were rotating to the front lines, and then he was letting guys go back. And he's a hard dude. He doesn't take days off. You know what I mean? He goes and he gets guys in the fight, and that's the reason you join.
Right.
If we talk about back in the day in 2010 with us and Eddie and all of us, it was game on every day, and we were lucky to be there. We were stoked to be there, and we were game on. Like, if any of us were there in that 17 deployment with Eddie, we would expect everybody to be there every day. Yeah, it'd be like, this is miserable, but we might kill dudes today. We may save some people today. You know what I mean? And some of those guys were solid, of course, and some of the guys weren't, and they had their own. The guys accusing Eddie got on WhatsApp, didn't delete it either. When they got their phones pulled, they had a little group called the Sewing Circle, talking about Eddie, talking about all these things, saying we got to get our story straight. The guy goes, I'm missing my helmet. And the guy goes, Eddie probably stole it. And then the guy goes, oh, I found my helmet later down the chain. All these things, dude. Anyway, there was only 2 guys left remaining at the end. And what's funny is the main dude was lived 2 doors down from Eddie in military housing, and used to go to prayer group with him and stuff like that.
Was there any repercussions for those guys?
You can't, because there'd be repercussions. You can't punish them for trying to call somebody out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, overall repercussions, sure. But because the admiral just kept saying Eddie's bad, and some of the big Navy wanted to make, they wanted to burn Eddie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They wanted,
and I feel
they wanted somebody who did war crimes to show that we were punishing people who do war crimes, whether they did them or not. What's amazing about this whole thing, there's Keith Barry. He's a guy who did 3 years in the brig, and then for the whole Me Too movement, and he was accused of sexual assault from his chick he was seeing. Total BS. Accused of it, found guilty without any of the proper documentation. 3 years he spent in the brig. The judge, who was a JAG then, had retired. It felt heavy on his heart that he was told to find him guilty no matter what. Called Eddie's lawyer, I think, and told him, and got it all spun up again, and so they let Keith out.
Damn.
3 fucking years. Because Obama wanted to create discontent and pretty much say that the military is doing good. They're punishing those who do bad, who sexually assault, when he didn't.
And you're really weaponizing this justice system fueled by this political agenda.
Yeah, I mean, look at NCIS. Look at the JAGs at NCIS. Those people, if they crush a Navy SEAL, it's huge on them. And the JAGs, I think they just want win. So they get out and they go work for some big firm. Look at all the wins they have.
Yeah.
And they want bigger wins than you know, this admiral got caught with kiddie porn on his computer. You know what I mean? They want that's great for them too, but they want bigger fish to fry. They want war crime stuff.
Yeah.
And you look at JAG's win to lose ratio, it's like 10, it's like 100%. It's 100% win.
Yeah.
Because they work with the NCIS however they want to spin it, turn it. They're caught like putting trackers on, they were caught putting trackers on the emails that Tim had, and Tim was sending them to people to help him out in the case, and they put trackers to see. They couldn't read what was in the emails, but they could see who it was sent to.
Yeah.
And they were sent like to Trump's lawyer and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, and then they got rolled. And then, you know, it went to jury.
Yeah.
And they found him not guilty.
Yep.
And it was awesome. You know, the kid was like, you know, he's on the stand, the other team guy, and I only missed 2. That's one I missed. I only missed 2 of the courts. I went to every one. Sat behind there, just mean mugging the Jags. You know what I mean?
Pieces of shit.
Oh yeah, this is amazing. And before the end, there was a Marine Jag too. The Marines pulled him off. The other guy got pulled off the case. Like when that dude got caught putting half flag, got putting tracking devices on stuff.
Yeah.
Like these other people, like, oh, this isn't going good. They pulled their guys off the case. Anyway, what was I? I just got on a tangent. Oh, the one I missed. He's the team guys up there, and they're like, did Eddie? You know, they like he was the NCS that was their golden boy to say that Eddie killed that terrorist.
Because was he claiming to be there? Like
Well,
I was there and I saw it. Is that what he was?
Well,
claiming?
he was there, right?
Okay.
And he was. I don't know if he was the other corpsman.
Okay.
Eddie's also a corpsman, so maybe working on him with Eddie. So what they did is NCS gave all these guys that said they were going to be against Eddie pretty much immunity.
Okay.
So they could say whatever they could on the stand about. They could say anything that they did wrong on the stand, but if they could also say that Eddie did wrong, they have immunity from punishment. So this guy got immunity. His lawyer, he had his own lawyer, separate than everybody else. His lawyer got him immunity. They thought this kid was going to be the golden child of saying Eddie killed him because he was right there with Eddie. And they were like, did Eddie kill him? And he goes, no. And they're like, well, who did? This is the Jags. And he goes, I did. Everything went silent. Everyone's like,
oh, shit.
Reporters are just like what the fuck? It just happened. And they're like, well, how did you do it? And he goes, I put my thumb over his, breathing thing. And he goes, he was almost dead anyway. And I was so worried about what the Iraqis were going to do to him if they kept him alive. And I was, and he got immunity. They'd already given him immunity.
Damn. And that was it.
And then it goes to the jury.
Wow. That's crazy.
That was wild. And they know it's at the end of that, whatever. I don't know if Apple did that. I forgot who did the show, but it was like the 2 guys remaining in the end are like doubling down. They're like, I can't believe these other guys that know Eddie did wrong, changed their minds. And you're just like, you stupid fuck. Like,
they're lying.
You got caught lying. Your ego is really bad. Like you burn yourself the rest of the time in the SEAL teams. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's just dumb, man.
So you think you get to the point of getting immunity and it's like, all right, this has gone on long enough. Let's just end it here. I did it.
I think he had to wait till he got immunity.
Yeah.
And then his lawyer is just a legend. It's like, well, the lawyer's like, I got something for you. You got to watch this. I was like, okay. He's like, just wait. Okay.
Damn, that's crazy. And it seemed like the more publicity I got, the more big Navy seemingly dug in to get it.
Yeah, against him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Tim Parlatore, his lawyer, is an incredible man. Andrea, his wife's like the most badass. Like she's the one out there every day calling every congressman, getting trying to get everyone on the phone, trying to get every single person, Republican, wealthy, like everybody, like, let's help Eddie. Let's get him out. This is BS. The military is going to burn him for political reasons. This is BS. This is my husband. He's 19 years combat veteran. 8 fucking deployments. We don't burn guys. We don't put guys in prison after that long for that many deployments, and that was sacrifice taken away from his family. Like, you don't do that.
How long do they have in prison?
There's been guys in the military who went off base and shot. There's been bad shots shooting an innocent person, and you don't go to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to be accused of shooting a little girl across the street when there's zero proof, and shooting an old man, zero proof. It's just the word from somebody else who wasn't even in the building. Is just ridiculous. They wanted to burn him to show that, we're a military of standards, and the higher ups, they were protecting the institution. They weren't protecting the guys.
Yeah, and it's wild in the military what just a verbal accusation, how far they can take that.
Oh, it's nuts. Same with anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, how'd you get out of the Navy?
I was getting guys ready to go overseas doing vessel-borne search and seizure, and I like running like a stick of like 10 guys, and guys were getting picked up. We had fast roped in. I was wearing these new gloves by Naptech. They were fast roping gloves, but they're small enough to manipulate your weapon safety. Running the guys, held the ladder for the first guys to go up, came back through the door, turned around. They hadn't cleared the ladder. I was going to step out and from the main ship hatch that opens up to clear the ladder, and I was like, oh, it's good. Step my leg back through to count my guys, turned, and that no one had latched that door, and it caught the wind from the black cutting, was slamming on me. So I like put my hand on the wall and pulled my leg in, and my fingers wrapped the edge, and all my fingers on the hinge side of the door. So it broke all my fingers, ripped the meat down. So I had to go off and do surgery on that, and that was like, it was a pretty hefty injury. So then it was like, hey, do you want to stay in, do an LPO slot? You want to get out? We'll give you 100%. And I was like, 10 years in, 3 good deployments. It was a very big lull right at war then. This is before ISIS kicked off, and I was like, I'm gonna punch out.
And what year was this?
The end of 2012.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, and a lot of people are like, do you regret it? I'm like, no, because I may not be here.
Yeah.
So the whole regret thing is, I miss going to war with my buddies, but who knows? I could have been shot in the face by ISIS.
Yeah, you never know.
You know what I mean? You don't know. So I could have been shot in Afghanistan, and then look, Taliban control Afghanistan. That sucks.
Yeah, and it's like, what do we die for out there?
So, it was good I got out and started a brewery and distillery. Is actually my first business. I had some really terrible team guy partners, just dishonest. They took all my money, my injury money I had, and they ran and pushed me out. And so then I was working in LA on movie stuff, and that's pretty fun.
Yeah, so how'd you get plugged into the film industry?
I just did, originally it was this old frogman dude, Harry Humphreys, old Vietnam frogman. He'd been up there like doing Michael Bay's military advising since like The Rock. And so he was having team guys come up and help on Transformers and everything. So I went up and did some background voices on Transformers and met Michael Bay. And
were you like voicing some of the robots, or?
no, I wish, dude. I was voicing some of the pilots, like bank right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Met him, and then stayed in touch with him, and then they was doing Transformers 5, worked on, and I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in there somewhere. I met a guy, Garrett Warren. He's a stunt director, second unit director, and a director. Amazing dude, one of my best friends. Met him, started working on stuff with him. Did Transformers, the last one a bit, just doing more stunts in that one. And then started working with Garrett, like did Logan with him. And then that's when he hit me up to do Avatar 2.
Did you do scenes with Hugh Jackman and Logan?
No, just bad guy running around the woods, getting beat up by kids.
How is it on a movie set? Was it
just all depends who the director is. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes you sit around all day.
Yeah.
Oh, 13 Hours was pretty fun to film with Michael. We lived in Malta for like 3.5 months. Worked at night. Like that was fun.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, it was good. It's crazy because a lot of people don't know this. Like, I stunt doubled this guy, a Delta guy, a Keg guy, and I chatted with him online. And I just met him like 3 weeks ago, finally for the first time. I was at the Jason Aldean Invitational golf tournament in Nashville, raising money for Sentinel Foundation, which is a anti-child or anti-trafficking, pretty much, foundation that a lot of guys are supporting. Anyway, he was there, so I finally got to meet him and his family, which was really funny.
Oh, shit.
Tate, yeah, awesome guy. That was cool. And so I play him in the movie. I stunt double the main actor, and what he didn't know either is he throws Ty's body off the roof, to get him down quick. Now, I know some people felt that was not sacred, but I was like, it's a body. If you don't get off the roof, you die. Like, get him off the roof. I asked to play that role to throw Ty's body off the roof, and I want me and the other guys, another team guy, just because I want to be special that we're the ones doing it. Also, Ty was my SQT class's proctor. He's the one that gave me my SEAL training and pinned me my first time.
Damn.
Yeah. Little I know that many years later, I'm playing the guy to throw his body off the roof. It's pretty interesting. So I told him that story.
Wow. That's crazy how that's all connected.
Yeah.
And how you found your way all the way to that.
Yeah, that's wild. It's definitely wild. That was a fun movie to work on. Then I hopped on Avatar 2 with Garrett. We started June 2017 on that one, military advising and stunts, and then stunt doubling some of the lead actors when they shoot their guns. I mean, they play their weapon safety and teach guys tactics and stuff like that for that.
Do actors, for the most part, pick that stuff up pretty quickly?
Some of them more than others because some of them have done action movies before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some of you, they just need more help, and I have to do that scene a few times so it looks legit, but you need to train with them and stuff. So,
favorite action movie?
my favorite action movie? That's tough one. I don't know. I have top favorites. Favorite action movie?
Yeah. Maybe favorite top two.
Well, you got to break them down because there's war action movies. There's
like the Arnold Schwarzenegger, just generic action
there's
movies.
Sylvester Stallone. There's like Rambos. Yeah. There's, Predators are way up there. Predators up there for like action. Oh man, I have to think on that one. My favorite movies, kind of war movies, like Black Hawk Down, Saving Private Ryan, like pretty incredible movies. I like Tears of the Sun quite a bit. Fury is good. Glorious Bastards is really good. My top stuff is like Legends of the Fall, Last Mohicans, Braveheart.
Yeah.
I mean, is Braveheart action? Yeah. I mean, that's up there.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
The Patriot.
Oh, yeah. So I ran at
Fifth Element. For some reason, that's up there, dude. That's a good one.
I remember watching that with my dad when I was a kid.
Sci-fi.
He put it on. I'm like, Dad, I'm like 12. What the fuck is this?
Fifth Element?
Yeah, Fifth Element.
It's definitely weird. It's such a good movie, though, man. I mean, if you go back to, like, honestly, by action movies, Lethal Weapons were fucking so good. And then Beverly Hills Cop. Fuck, man.
You get into, like, watching the 80s movies again. I'm like, dude, movies today fucking suck.
You know what I do today? I either watch, like, what I do is I watch Japanese or, like, Asian films. Like, there's some badass ones, like The Swordsman, 13 Assassins. Like, there's some incredible, like, Chinese, Japanese, Korean movies out there. They're badass.
Check that out.
Like, oh man, there's some insanely good ones.
Have you seen Flags?
If you like
reading the subtitles,
or you just learn the language.
Yeah. Can you speak another language?
Some parts of other languages, but very small parts.
Just cussing people out in other languages.
I can speak like 6 dialects, but like half a sentence in each.
Just the important ones.
Yeah.
Have you seen Flags of Our Fathers?
Yeah.
There's always that scene that sticks with me when they're storming the beach and the guy's arm is blown off and he's like running around.
And he picks it up.
He picks it up.
Yeah, and he doesn't know. He's like just fucked up.
Yeah.
Picks his own arm up, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The balls on those guys.
I mean, he had to go.
Yeah.
D-Day, like all those. I watch. Oh, I mean, talk about like the best war TV shows, you know, The Pacific and Band of Brothers. It's just that new one, Something of the Air. Sent by Mel Gibson and Tom Hanks. It's like Band of Brothers. It's not as gnarly, but it's airborne guys. It's not airborne. Sorry, those guys jump.
I didn't know they collaborated on something.
It's called. Those are the guys who did The Pacific.
Really, Tom Hanks and Mel Gibson did it?
We have to look it up, but I know it's Mel Gibson.
Jamie, look that up.
Yeah. It's called Masters of the Air.
I'll have to look at
that. Came
up
like 7-8 months ago.
I remember good. Years ago when we were going through FMTV, like every night, me and all the guys, we get together in somebody's barracks room and watch like an episode of The Pacific together. And we're just like, fuck yeah.
Oh, dude, it's so gnarly. Yeah, We Were Soldiers is really good. We Were Soldiers is good. There's one with the Aussies and they call in fire on their position. I forgot what it's called. Gnarly. And it's a true story.
Yeah. Yeah, man, Mel Gibson.
Dude, he's a legend.
Legend.
The best movies.
Have you met Mel?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
It's good. I mean, Mark Wahlberg's awesome.
Yeah.
Really good dude.
Did you meet him on set at one of the movies?
Yeah. Worked with it. Oh, it's like Transformers.
Oh yeah.
5 and 6.
Transformers.
Yeah. Awesome guy.
Yeah.
Super nice. There's a lot of good actors and there's some guys who are turds, but it's usually like BC, the D list that like got a chip on their shoulder or something like that.
Isn't he starting?
Trying to help you, dude.
Yeah. Isn't he starting like a new production company, Mark Wahlberg? I think he's like Vegas or something.
I don't like chat with him. I'm not that close.
So 13 hours and then the Avatar film. So are you still working on those
I
periodically?
didn't work on the first one at all.
Oh, okay.
That came out in 2009. I was in Afghanistan.
Oh, shit.
I watched it in Afghanistan. In
That
Kandahar.
long ago.
Yeah.
Damn.
We got like a bootleg version of Afghanistan in 2009. Little did I know in 2017 I was going to start working on one.
How surreal is that? It's crazy.
It's a small world, man. That's
So-
a cool one to work on.
Do you remember where you were when you watched it? Like in
Yeah, I was upstairs on our little tiny base on Kandahar, our little SEAL base, in our little TV fun room.
Damn, that's crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, Avatar. I mean, those are big budget movies. What's it like working on that?
I mean, awesome. I mean, there's a lot of hours. You get like 2 scenes done in like 12 hours sometimes, you know, but being able to do stunts is kind of fun. I don't like do huge stunts like the guys. That's what they do. I'll do small stunts. And then military advising is great. It's awesome. Garrett Warren's incredible dude to work for. And then
So stunt work. I mean, is that you just need to be athletic and just be coachable? Like, hey, fall
Yeah,
like this,
yeah.
jump like
trying
this.
to make it realistic. But then you get into the guys who do it for like a living, and it's like they're doing these picks or these poles where they wrap the wire around them to like their harness under their shirt, and then they get shot or like an explosion, they jump, and then it yanks, and so they spin through the air that way, and then hit a wall, and they get yanked that way. Like it gets complicated, and you got to learn all that stuff and rigging for all of it. And I'll do stuff where I get thrown off a boat or like die, and like, the simple stuff. But at least I get to be like, hey, hold your gun like this. You wouldn't shoot that way. Look at if you shoot that way, you shoot in the other boat. Like you know,
Make it more realistic.
yeah.
Yeah, the stunt actors in John Wick are probably crazy.
Yeah, I got buddies who worked on there too.
Oh, you
There's
did?
a bunch of team guys who worked on that.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, it got more insane.
Yeah,
Like
with the
by number
fourth one.
4, you're just like, dude, might as well just be shooting quills out of himself.
Yeah, I remember I stumbled across.
There's 70 mags on him or something.
Yeah, killing people with pencils, and I mean, you can't
It's
kill the guy.
doable. You couldn't kill someone with a pencil, but
Yeah,
when you kill like 14 people in the same room with a pen,
and
then you write a note or something, like maybe write the note first.
Yeah. I remember I stumbled across the first one like years ago. I forgot on something. I was like,
Yeah,
What
the
is-
first
what is
one's
this?
badass.
yeah. And you don't even know what it is. And you start watching, and you're like, this is awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I like westerns a lot.
Oh,
I watch a lot of westerns. There's
you
just
like-
not a lot of good ones.
what is that one? Tombstone?
Great. Tombstone's amazing.
I tried to get my girlfriend to watch it. She lasted like 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna duct tape her up.
I know, right? Like,
You
This-
must watch.
yeah, the Clockwork Orange.
That's a wild. Clockwork Orange or Gummo. You got to put Gummo on one big screen, Clockwork Orange on the other, and turn like Skrillex up. And just take a bunch of MDMA. Just see how long you last.
Probably not long.
Bunch of shrooms, Gummo, Clockwork Orange, Skrillex on like 40,000 decibels.
Sounds like experience right here talking.
No, I do remember walking into my buddy's house, and that's exactly, yeah.
No shit.
I was just like, you are out of your mind. Yeah, Dirty. We're talking about Dirty, my
Yeah.
buddy, Dan.
Oh shit. It's like, dude, you need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, he's like, I will. I am. No, you're not. There's no one else here. I know. Oh, just amazing.
Damn. Speaking of psychedelics, so did you ever have any meaningful experiences with those after you got out?
Yeah, I did ayahuasca a couple times.
How was that?
Pretty amazing the first time. Like I didn't really drink a lot either of the times.
Was this in like out of country?
No. Did it with like, because you can have it ceremonial, so they were able to bring ayahuasca, and there's certain levels of like a shaman who can bring it in and do ceremonies. In the United States, I think it was like 1968 or 1978. Certain amount, so I did it first time in the mountains with some people, and that was okay. It was it's nerve wracking. It's something you just don't know what's gonna happen. The second time I did it, it was a lot better. I was super relaxed. I kind of just in my mind, I was kind of super scared to go do it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do it, because you don't have to dose up. You can take small dose. And then I was just like, show me peace and love. That's all I said. Show me peace and love. Show me. And I just had like really good peace and love. You know what I mean? And just a lot of memories and a lot of gratitude and a lot of like, there was a lot of stuff in there, like thinking about my buddy Ryan and Dan and Kelsey and these people in my life and Elliot and Miles and all these friends in my life. I was like, they love me. and they make me who I am. I need to make sure I love them and tell them how meaningful they have been in my life. Like, I'm only as good as I am now because I'm loved by them. And I was just, a lot of that was just like, I need to return that and say how much I love you all the time and how much I appreciate you being there for me, you know. And that was a lot of what I got out of it. And there's a lot.
It's I've had experiences like that, and it's like life starts to happen again, and we forget that it's just love.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing. I think Rev is probably it is like the number one greatest existence of anything, right, that you can have. It's why you can go to war for your friends. Love is why you're capable of dying for people. Love exists. It's very hard. Like, you know it exists. You believe in it. Some people are better at tapping in it than others, of course, just from life experience and things that have gone on in your life. You know it exists for sure. And when you do ayahuasca or DMT or something like that, you know, on that level, you actually almost can, you can almost physically touch it inside of you, and you can't help but like just cry. Like, I've laid there and been like, holy crap, like I feel so love. I feel so much love. I love my friends and family so much. I am loved, and it's like the most overwhelming sense of love ever. And it's so cool to, like, at least for people to touch that once in a while, you know, and those little things, whether it changes your life a lot, but the recognition that it does exist. And that's something that's so great, and what drives people to do good. It exists 100%. And people are going through so many ups and downs in life, and like being able, I think it's good for people to do that. It's a little scary for people to do it. The thing is, you are in control of your own mind the whole time. You know, there's times it gets really intense. You can get up, drink some water, go outside, like breathe some air, go back in, lay down, and go back into it. And you kind of drive it yourself. You're just really open.
Whenever you did it, were you in a place where you needed something? You were looking for some kind of break, some kind of crack in the wall? Or,
I mean, you're always looking for answers, but answers are always vague. It's like, I look for answers pretty often. I pray all the time. I'm like, I need an answer. Like, I need that tree to fall down. If it doesn't fall down, that's a no. If it falls down, that's a yes.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't fall down. I'm like, well, how do I really, like, maybe I didn't believe hard enough. Or I need these concrete evidence. You know what I mean, in my life to make big decisions. I feel like, and I'm like, I never get these concrete. It's like, the door might be cracked. Is it cracked? I was like, swing the fucking door open, then I'll know I'm supposed to walk through it.
Yeah, right.
Like, come on, Lord, help me out.
I don't have to breach this door, but I will.
Yeah. Like, well, if I can breach it, is it the right door?
Exactly.
Just because that door is open? Or are you saying go through that door because it's open, but I can break this one down? You're like,
are you trying to trick me right now?
Yeah.
And then we're talking to people in the room.
Yeah. Damn it. Yeah, that's tough, man.
So with like first responders, military guys, like people that have just gotten really good at compartmentalizing, walling up, and they're not like going to therapy, like therapy's for pussies, like they just can't really get there. Do you feel like psychedelics are a good like way to break that wall down?
Maybe a little bit in the beginning, maybe a little bit for those guys. But if you're still going to have to do that job all the time too,
if you're out of it, I guess
you're out. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I don't, I think it's good for people. They do ketamine therapy. They do MDMA therapy now. There's Vet Solutions. That's Marcus. He runs a program. They go down to Mexico and do ibogaine. And that's like a big deal. Like, that's hours. And then 5-MeO DMT. And it's really, really helped aid a lot of guys and saved a lot of guys' lives, relationships. The guys who drink too much, you know what I mean? Civilian life's gnarly, man. Guys transition and they're like, they go from being extremely important, high level of responsibility, respected in a group that they're cared for, loved, they look out for others, emotionally, physically, to absolutely fucking Joe Schmo on the street.
Yep. And it's like, what's my mission?
How are you supposed to feel important? How are you supposed to feel you're doing something big like you were? And you know what? The SEAL teams just keep going.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck. You get out, you're gone. They're gone. You're like, oh, okay. You can stay close to your buddies that you're close with. I'm super close to my friends. That's been a blessing. Staying really busy and focused on goals is a huge blessing.
Is that what you did right when you got out to keep you from feeling like that? Or did you feel like that a little bit?
I was just automatically really busy working on business stuff when I got out, and I've had my ups and downs of like, is this, now that my business is up and rolling and I have veterans that work for me and my buddies that work for me, and It's really good. It's like having a platoon space again with a bunch of guys and working together and letting guys be creative. And that's a big outlet, and the importance of what the knives do, and raising money for foundations. And that's really big for guys. And it's really big for me to be able to do that. And it's like, we know we do a lot of good work, you know what I mean, for people, and being able to provide jobs. And so it's like, you know, still at the end of the day, you're also like, I don't know. It's always searching. You know, it's like, I don't know if anybody is just fully 100% satisfied.
And if you are,
Maybe you're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong.
You know?
Yeah, that's what I talk about with like some friends. It's like how there's people out there who just clock in, clock out, and come home, watch TV, have some beers, do it over again, and they're totally content.
How?
Yeah, I know. And I got the best answer to this, right? This guy told me, he's like, because I was like, everybody should do mushrooms. Everybody can have this awakening and then just grind and go hustling. He's like, well, there need to be some functional people in the world that are cogs in like the wheels.
Got to be workers. Got to be leaders.
To keep things going. Everybody can't be off on their own. Like,
yeah, we can't just have a bunch of wannabe artists.
Yeah.
You have all these people that go to college to be architectural engineers, and they start partying, and they graduate college as art history majors.
Yeah.
And they work at a sushi place now.
Exactly.
That runs rampant. But they think they're artists. They'll let you know they're artists or a director or an actor. Like, you did a background for a Chevy commercial in '87.
How much do you run into that when you're up in LA?
Every person that works at a restaurant, they're either a director or an actor.
Check out my script right here. Here's your sushi, by the way.
Yeah, it's wild, man. There's some cool scripts, but it's like every other person, they're trying to get their big break, you know, and that's gnarly if you live in LA and you're chasing that to get a big break. Like, you guys will make a living being like, if you're prior military, or especially SEAL, and you get to do some advising and some stunt work and background, like, you could make a living. But that'll suck you dry up there. It's like the cost of living is gnarly. 12 miles during rush hour is at least an hour.
Yeah.
So you got to go somewhere for 8 to 10 hours. You probably have 2 hours to get home, 2 hours to get there in the morning. You're 14 hours deep. You have no time with your family. You have no time to work out. Nothing.
Yeah.
That's fucking miserable.
Yeah, that sucks.
Hell no.
Yeah, I know. And it's funny. You see like the pictures of people like back in the day, your ancestors grew up like in rural areas or on the farms, and then they moved to the city to make more money or a better life. And then nowadays we're all trying to run out of the city, go homestead.
Yeah. You know, that's our goal, is to, you know, start get another building outside California, and maybe leave one here for the guys that can't get out of San Diego, have families, and then move guys out somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like hunting and fishing. I'm gone a lot anyway. I'm trying to get more of my guys into that. Like, during the year, I will do fishing trips, get guys on fishing trips, get guys on hunting trips. And I have plans this next year for doing more of that for my guys in the shop, because most of them have never hunted. They make knives, so I design everything still. The guys guys do handles and everything. We all work together, but I'm getting more guys out hunting and fishing and being able to cut up their own animal, because a lot of guys are interested. They just haven't had the opportunity. Yeah. It costs a lot. You know what I mean? So that's really big. And then finally, like, we're going to close next week buying a building, which is awesome. I've been trying to find a place for like 5 years.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. So we'll close next week and then start build out. And I'll be able to have a showroom area. So I'll have like a man cave. It's a big showroom area. So I have a military area. I'll do a cool little bar area. I'll do, you know, knives and my tomahawk collection, some of my old knives and original stuff I made with my older brothers, and be able to showcase a lot of really cool stuff in there. Yeah.
When's that going to be, you think, like open and up and running?
Probably end of January.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That'll be cool.
You excited for that?
Yeah. Stoked.
Fuck yeah. And so if you opened up a second location, where would it be? Like Montana or something?
I mean, no, it's way too cold up there, man. Awesome place, but it's gray during the summer.
Yeah.
It's pretty in the spring, kind of pretty in the fall, snowing, freezing in the winter. I think the spring is the prettiest part.
Yeah.
Spring and fall.
When I visited, it was in the spring, and I have a buddy who works for Semper Fi Foundation, and he lives up in Kalispell.
Yeah, Kalispell.
Yeah, Kalispell. And I had breakfast with him up there in Kalispell one morning, and he was talking about the snow, and he lives out there on a ranch, and I'm like, that's not for me, man.
No, dude.
It sounds miserable.
No, anytime you go further north than like Utah, Colorado, no.
Yeah.
Idaho's awesome, but it gets pretty fucking cold. Idaho's not too bad. Wyoming's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Gets pretty cold. I live in Jackson Hole, but I can't. afford a $10 million house,
Yeah.
2-bedroom, 2-bath. What's crazy is Lake Tahoe is exactly straight across as like Salt Lake City, Denver.
Mm.
Not wild. And I grew up, just west of that, and I'm really not that far north.
Yeah.
So like the problem, I love Colorado hunting. It's one of those beautiful states. It's beautiful all year round. You still get 260 days of sun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There, outdoor life. There's everything from fishing, whitewater, backpacking, hunting is great. Everything, but gun laws are crap. I think they'll probably stay a pretty liberal state.
Yeah.
Utah will never be liberal. Mormons own that place. Got a lockdown.
Yeah.
And it's just as beautiful as Colorado. You know what I mean?
When I was
that's where I'm
visiting
looking.
Utah, I realized that. It's like the Mormons are all in the government, and the religion and being religious keeps them away from all this dumb shit.
I don't need to buy uncle on Sunday. You're helping me out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like
Hunting's great. It's such a beautiful state, and it's beautiful year round.
And it used to be like that. Like growing up in Georgia, you couldn't buy alcohol on Sundays.
Bible Belt.
Yeah, and so all my grandfather, my uncles, they'd like go on Saturday afternoons, like stock up on all the
What's
beer.
the problem with buying it on Saturday if you want to drink Sunday? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't even have to leave the house.
Just plan a little bit ahead.
And then people complain about like, I'll be like, yeah, Utah. And they're like, oh, but you can't buy alcohol on Sunday. Like, I don't even drink on Sundays because I want to feel good on Monday.
Yeah.
Like, that's Friday night, dude.
Exactly. And the first time I like flew in to Utah, I was at like an Amex Lounge bar, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take a beer and a shot." And he hands me the beer, and he's just like holding the shot, and I'm like,
Oh, you got to wait till you drink the beer.
"You gotta wait." And I was like, "What do you do? Let me have my shot." And he's like, "You have to finish one of these first."
Can't have 2 drinks at a time.
Yeah, can't have two
Even
at
in
a
the
time.
even the airport.
Yeah,
That's weird.
blew my mind. I was like,
That's
"All right,
really
give me a
weird.
shot." You're like encouraging me to put these down.
That's wild.
Yeah, we're moving to Nashville soon, and that was priorities. She's looking at like decorating the house and other things, and I'm already looking at fishing boats and hunting leases and like
Yeah. That'll be so rad. Such good hunting there, man.
yeah. So
Deer eat well there.
yeah, they do.
You got deer, turkey. Was it whitetail down there?
Whitetail, yeah. I grew up hunting whitetail back in Georgia and hogs.
Yeah. Good
And
hogs down there.
a buddy of
Probably black bear too, huh?
I would love to have
Tennessee?
black bear. Yeah, there are. My stepdad, when I was in high school, we had hog traps out, and he caught like a big black bear in the hog pen. And so we had it on the trail cam out there because it was on, I think, WMA land or something. And he's like, I'm not opening that fucking door.
What do? You call them and say, hey, guys.
So he called my cousins. They ran a taxidermy place. And I don't know if they killed the bear and kept it
Yeah.
because they didn't have a tag, but it wasn't there the next day.
They took the tractor out and lifted it and it ran away.
Well, so I think
Legally.
exactly that's what happened. Somebody got on top and opened it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, a buddy of mine, we found out the other day, we were talking, I didn't even think about it, hunting alligators.
Yeah.
We were looking up pictures and I was like, I want to go hunt some alligators.
Yeah.
That's on my bucket list now.
Yeah, there's a guy, Mike Dragic, blue collar brawler. He's on Instagram. Awesome guy. I send knives down to him. He has works with the foundation or owns a foundation, whatever it is. He takes guys out alligator hunting, and he has a license for like getting them out of people's yards and stuff too. And then he's able to hunt them. And I don't know how the tags go or whatever, but you can get out of state tags. You go down there. There's a bunch of outfitters. I haven't done it. I have a buddy who just got a boat. He's going down there and he bought the boat. His buddy has tags. He's a local, so they've been going down. His buddy's been getting them, but I'd love to do that. I'm going to do Africa again this year and do hippo and crocodile hunting. Yeah.
Have you gotten a hippo before?
No.
Damn.
I've done a lot. I think my first trip, I think I had like 17 shoulder mounts coming back from Africa this year, and like 5 rugs and like 6 Euro mounts.
How long were you in Africa to get all that?
I did 2 trips,
Nice.
like a 10-day and a 13-day.
So what was your favorite hunt? You got like one that sticks out? Like, damn.
I mean, I got good hunts. I mean, hunting in Alaska is my favorite. I did a brown bear hunt at the beginning of this year. Didn't get one. I was looking for a big bear, like a 10-foot plus bear. There was like an 8.5-foot bear in camp. I came into camp and like put my tripod down and looked over, and like 20 feet, there's a big 8.5-foot brown bear looking at me. And I was like, oh, raised my 375 H&M. I was like, hey bear, hey bear. Hey bear, and I was like, I'm gonna get one shot, dude. Hopefully he spins and I get another round in bolt action 375 Christensen arms. And my guide and my buddy were right over the hill. We were just looking at a sow and cubs down on the hillside, and they were like it felt like 30 minutes before they came into camp. And they heard me like saying, "Hey bear." They thought I was like, "Hey, there's a bear. Come down here. We'll glass it and see how big it is."
Yeah.
Little they know I got a, 8.5, 9 foot brown bear at 20 feet, just staring at me and stomping his front feet. They get down like, "Oh shit, there's a bear." Like now I got 3 guns on line. Luckily, like a 458 lot or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're like, "Hey bear, hey bear." And he stands up and he's like, those are the ones that are assholes. They're like teenagers. You know what I mean? And the guy shot around by, finally the guy just plopped, came down, just walked away slowly. I was like, motherfucker, dude. I'd get 1 round off.
Yeah.
I mean, that 375, if I dumped him in the chest, it's going to fucking put him down. But like, if he's hits running at me, I get 1 round.
Yeah.
Hopefully I hit him good enough. He starts spinning. You want him to spin and then get another round off into him. And hopefully he doesn't turn and come after you again.
Yeah.
Right then I was like, dude, I need like a 500 nitro or something. I need an elephant gun. But that's, moose hunting. I did a moose 1 year with one of my best friends, Matt DeLuca, amazing guy, amazing hunter. He lives up there. We went way out. We were like 17 days out in the backcountry, get dropped off by an airplane. That's incredible. And killed a moose, not even 2 miles from camp, and it took 3.5 days to get it back. That's just such gnarly country. Cross the river. Like, it was just me and him. You put like
just packing it out.
150 pounds on your back, like back to camp. We just did it. And we took all the meat off the carcass, about 1,000 yards. Next day, all day, move it 1,000 yards. Next day, down across the river. Next day, down and back up to camp.
Damn.
Miserable. It was like hell week. It's like Wednesday of hell week, dude.
Every time you're cooking that for people at your house, you're like, you better fucking enjoy it.
Finish that.
Every last piece.
Yeah. Oh man, it was so miserable. Like incredible. We came back, we got 550 pounds of meat off that thing or something. 500 pounds. Just badass.
Damn, that's awesome. There's nothing like getting at, like, I was talking to my girlfriend and she's not into hunting, but I'm like, babe, you don't have to do it. Just, you love nature. Just sit in the stand with me and you can just look at nature.
Yeah.
You'll love it.
You can watch an animal cry when I kill it.
Exactly.
And you can cook it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's rad. Like bow hunting, elk is really, really incredible. One of my favorite things. I have a bunch of elk bow hunting in Colorado. Africa is just incredible, the amount of animals, and I was bow hunting and rifle hunting there. Places, it's just amazing.
So is there a big hunting culture in Africa, or is it mostly people
Massive.
traveling into it?
People traveling in, that drives massive. I mean, tourism of just safaris and hunting is absolutely, it's North America and Africa have the most diverse animals to hunt in the planet. Like incredible.
Have you hunted lion? Can you hunt lion?
You can hunt lions. Certain countries over there you can. Not South Africa. Certain countries you can. There's countries where there's overpopulation of elephants.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we waste meat here. They don't waste anything there. It's incredible. Like where I was hunting the first time, there's probably 12, maybe 14 of us, and we probably killed 120 animals. And they bring it back down. They cut them up, take the hide. You eat the meat while you're there. They cook it. It goes to the outfitter. It goes to the people's lease, the land, and it goes to the locals. Like not any meat is wasted. It feeds everybody.
Nice.
Like it feeds everybody. Not only that, like skin that's not used goes to them to make whatever they want. If somebody kills an elephant, they take all the meat, they take all the skin, they take the ears, they dry them, they do art in the ears. You have to think that we have all these rules and laws here because of environmentalists, not truly because there's an endangered species. So some of the countries over there, they're endangered. Some, you go across the border, there's 10,000 too many. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. So those countries, you can bring the animal back, not the meat. But nothing gets wasted. All these other countries, from China to Japan to, UAE and Dubai, they can buy whatever they want. So they buy elephant hides, they buy ears that have been, with art on them and stuff like that. So not only do people get all this meat, they have all these means to make money too, all these locals. So it's like, it's pretty amazing over there. Like shit doesn't get wasted.
Yeah.
When we have to pack out your hindquartering, you're taking backstraps, you're taking tenderloins, you're taking neck meat, you're getting as much meat as you can, but you're not, if you don't have to hike out 7 miles, you're not cutting every little tiny piece of meat off.
Yeah.
Like over there, they get it. It's badass.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You're feeding everybody when you hunt there.
And I mean, and it was like that here at once with the Native American culture, right? When it came to taking
I don't know
animals.
if we were feeding them.
No.
No, I think we were just probably shooting everything we wanted. That's how the buffalo. I mean, I think there was like 70 million buffalo at one time.
Well,
American bison.
I forgot what I was reading, but I feel like, or I was reading, I think the army like killed off a big portion of the buffalo to starve the Native Americans in certain areas.
I mean, it just became this thing in the Northeast. Like bison was like this thing, and like people would come just shoot as many as they wanted, and then just skin them and leave all the meat. You know, because buffalo hides were going for so much money in New York and these places. Yeah, they didn't. Now, you know, conservancy is absolutely massive in the United States. They do a pretty good job, conservancy. The dumb shit they're doing is like trying to reintroduce wolves in certain areas. And you're just
Wasn't that in Colorado?
Yeah, they've tried it a couple times now.
Did they?
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
You're not going to release 5 wolves and they're all going to. If they did well, they would deplete elk herds. You know what I mean? And then they'd go out. I mean, yeah, they're in good luck. And that's like 6 environmentalists compared to 5 million hunters, like saying don't do it, but somehow they get heard more.
Yeah. And the people that are making the decisions in the political
They
positions.
just want votes.
Yeah. Never hunted.
Liberal state.
Don't know anything.
No, they never hunted a day in their life.
That's what it seems like, is a lot of the states and cities that are nice to live in, Austin, just states are slowly, the big cities are turning blue. Nashville. Yeah.
What do you mean? You got Denver and Boulder that ruined Colorado. You got Portland that ruins Oregon. You got Seattle that ruins Washington. You got Boise. Still decent. Wyoming's solid still, but you have little chunks. If you look at that map and it's like, I mean, San Francisco, LA, Sacramento, that's all ruining California. Like, good luck. The entire coastline is blue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Except the very top, like Jefferson County, Mendocino, where all the pot growers are. For some reason, you can take red all the way out to the coast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's wild.
They're like, lower these fucking taxes.
Yeah. You got like Jackson Hole is the only place in Wyoming that's blue.
Yeah, Jackson Hole was a beautiful place. We drove through it
Amazing.
on a road trip and stayed there. And yeah, everybody's wearing like NYU and Boston hoodies. And
Very wealthy area.
yeah.
It's all these, you know, $5-8 million summer homes or winter homes, whatever they want to do.
So you have a hot sauce.
Well, it's a collaboration. So it's just a half-face Blades hot sauce with a buddy, Nico Lechuga, Senior Lechuga. That's his hot sauce brand. He's just an awesome guy. He reached out to do a knife to like auction just to raise awareness for his hot sauce. And we started chatting and he makes incredible sauce. You have to look on it. Senior Lechuga is the hot sauce brand. And he's just an awesome guy and his wife and kid. And eventually I was like, let's do a collaboration hot sauce. Let's make an all natural truffle hot sauce.
Yeah.
So it's the best hot sauce I've ever had. And I'm
excited.
I'm trying not being biased. So we had that running that pretty hard. And then, I think I gave Joe a bottle and he was like, this is the best hot sauce I've ever had in my life. I was like, I know, you know what I mean? And then I was like, Nico, why don't you ask Joe if, he wants to do some hot sauce? And he's like, yeah, but Andy's is the best hot sauce ever. So he did 2 others. So he does a 3-pack and then one of mine is in that 3-pack as well. So that sells off Senior Lechuga's site. And then I just sell the single or full 12 packs or however many you want to buy off of my site.
Nice.
Just and it's like, it is damn good, dude. And I'm working on, almost done with the truffle chimichurri, like a steak sauce.
That's going to be good.
Oh, it's going to be good.
Are you a good cook? Cook a lot?
I cook a ton.
Oh.
I dry age, I dry cure. I did a ham leg for like 3 years, made prosciutto.
Damn.
That was good. Like, yeah.
Just had it aging for 3 years?
Curing.
Curing?
Because dry aging and dry cured are a little bit different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's good. It was good. It's gone. But I cook a shit ton.
Did you cook for Thanksgiving?
I made 3 turkeys, mashed potatoes. Then I had a bunch of guys from my shop and just friends who are not going home to see family come over. There's probably 25 of us, and there's 37 last year.
Damn.
I deep fried a turkey, roasted 2. Last year I deep fried 2, roasted 2.
Man.
Yeah, it was good.
So the year's wrapping up. We only got a few more months until Trump comes home.
Right? Finally. Got some faith back in this economy, try to put some money back in the economy, get small business going, hiring people. I know I don't know if I need to go put some money into BTC.
Yeah, that's jumped up like 20, 30K since.
Should have put $1 million in there.
That's how I felt about the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. I was like, I should have bet everything on Jake Paul.
If I would have bet, I would have bet on Tyson. I didn't think he'd come back I didn't think he'd come back for that many years and let somebody beat him.
That money must have been really good.
Yeah, that's boxing.
Yeah. Because you see the clips now, you can see him, like the setups of like hooks and counters that he would hit all day back in his prime.
He can act like he's worn out and go down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same with the Mayweather fight against. They go all 10 rounds.
Yeah.
By decision. I mean,
and when you're talking like the purse
he's not going to do 50 and one. He's not going to make Mayweather's not coming back to a fight and lose his last fight with such an incredible record.
No.
And with that much money in the line.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I'll take a loss for 45 million. Okay. No problem.
Or yeah.
I'll lose to you. Okay.
Okay. Or more.
Yeah. So as the year wraps up, do you have any hunts coming up in the next month? I guess a month.
This weekend, I'm going to go with Chris Camazzi. He's a fighter for a long time. Met him. I can't remember how I met him. Awesome guy. Become a really close friend. He's his bare knuckle fighting championship, so he just got the belt.
Nice.
A couple weekends ago. And his buddy Brandon Gertz, another bare knuckle fighter guy. So I'm going to fly up to Denver, go up to Oklahoma, meet up with some of the guys and just do a little bird hunting and stuff. The other guys we're meeting up with, I guess. I don't know if it's their ranch, but they do cutter stabilizers, make really good stabilizers for bow hunting.
Nice.
Been chatting with those guys. Go up there for the weekend. But that's it. I mean, I didn't plan that until, maybe a week ago. Just because we're closing and I was trying to get shit done here.
So you're closing up the location you're at now to do the move?
We'll closing on the new place, like getting the keys. And then it'll be, like I said, we have build out and everything for about a month. So end of January.
And then you have half-face blades, amazing knives, WarPaw Wine. That's kind of a passion project.
Yeah, a side project. And that industry's, I don't have the bandwidth to go open a bunch of accounts. It's really, really like I really focus on the best grapes and making really good product. I just don't have the bandwidth to go. I'm 41. I don't like.
You're doing a lot, man.
I don't like going to restaurants like, hey, you want to buy this? So it's kind of a side project. And the wine industry has really crashed hard.
Really?
Really, really bad. There's just, I think the age, like 25 to 35-year-olds don't have a lot of brand loyalty, I guess. I've read up this big thing on it. Not a lot of brand loyalty, or like 20 to 30. They don't have the money to spend on a $100 bottle of wine. It's just not there.
Yeah.
So we'll see if next year, if it doesn't change and I don't have the bandwidth, I'll just stop making wine and keep it going until I sell out. You know what I mean? And I'll keep some cases and
nice.
Give some gifts away.
And then the ammo company, is that just
ammo's with Ryan? Yeah, with Ryan Bates, my best friend. Just reselling ammo, so we'll get ammo wholesale, resell wholesale, direct to consumer. We got a bunch of really good ammo from like Lithuania and stuff like that. It's just ups and downs. Like there was a few months there that was really good, and then it's just not going to be good the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Ammo, you know what I mean? So he's working on other projects, and we'll still keep it running. It, you know what I mean? So
I know. I remember it was crazy during COVID. I went to it was maybe 2020. 2021, somewhere around that time frame. I had to fly to Arizona and I was in Phoenix. And I was like, shit, I better stock up on some ammo out here. And I went to like 4 different empty shells, man.
That was the time to be in the business.
Yeah. I went into like 4 different gun shops. Like half the pistols are off the walls. The rifles are sold out. They're like 9 mil. Good fucking luck.
Wholesalers over like 20 million, like $7-8 million a year wholesale guys are making.
Crazy time. And everybody was pro Second Amendment then.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I need to get a gun.
Yeah, that was cool.
Well, Andrew, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, man. It was a great conversation.
Appreciate you inviting me, bro.
Thank you, man. Have a good night.
Absolutely.
I mean, have a good night.
It is.
It is a good
night. Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night, everybody. All right. Bye, everybody.